We are going live. It's cool. It's cool. Well, hello everyone. I am here with Kim. Kim,
Hello.
how are you doing today, Kim?
I'm doing fantastic. Been up since 8:15 on and off. Worked a 6.5 hour shift before coming here. Work tomorrow an 8-hour shift. So it's just, the grind. The grind never
You,
stops.
are you
How are
are you
you?
flexing? Are you flexing on me on my own show?
Of
Are you
course.
bragging about how much you work?
Obvious.
This is making me a bit tired. I think I need to go take a nap.
Oops. I may not. If you're already tired, I may have been a worse guest for this.
Well, that's good. No, you'll be able to take it away,
Right.
Um,
Right.
as always. Um, but Kim, well, everyone, I grabbed Kim. Kim is a well-known member of the Discord community. You are a moderator in Jana's Discord, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Often we see you hosting the the type reveal.
Monthly type reveals.
Yes. So that is where I grabbed Kim from. I saw Kim talking about it, being a two. And Kim, background, Kim has not gotten any feedback from Dave or Michael. Not that I find that the most important thing in the world. There seems to be a bit of a consensus around Kim being archetypal two, but I'd like to explore it today and see, if I am like, oh, yep, or maybe not. Don't be on the defensive, Kim. I'm not questioning your identity. You, EJ, you're making a weird face, but I shall be the
FI is
judge of
secure.
that.
It's not an attack on my FI. All right, we're good.
Maybe I'll take your FI. Okay, Kim. Well, how about you get started? Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us your background, and basically where you came from, where you're going, and where you kind of are in your career. If that's
All
what
right.
you
I love how you start off with like an FI question of like, who are you? And it's like, it's funny because I actually, when you were giving me the questions, I was like, I probably answered like most of them with like a sentence or two just because I'm like, oh, we're going to ad lib the rest, right? Because it's like,
Yes.
when do I ever plan for myself? But I guess to say background on me, well, so growing up in school, it's like I'm on the spectrum. So it's just wonderful trying to, learn how to socialize and communicate with people. So I was in speech therapy and motor skill functioning until I was like 8.
Samesies.
But
I was
yes,
in
yeah.
too.
So that was fun. And then I didn't really start to, bloom into who I was until I want to say high school.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, I think so. I think sophomore year of high school, I was on my school's leadership committee, which was really fun because I was like, because it was kind of nice just because it's like when the kids don't necessarily respect the teachers, it's like they respect us because it's kind of like, hey, we're kind of like the voice of in between where it's like, hey, like, you're not acting right, but it's like we're on your side still of kind of like, we're not trying to trample on your authority or anything, but it's just like we kind of wanted to like guide and kind of mentor people, which is nice. I kind of liked taking people under my wing in school.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really fun to do. And then I was kind of viewed as like when there was assignments in school, I was usually team captain for that, especially the ones involving math and science. And in terms of school, it's like for the longest time, so I was that kid growing up that would have like 50 job ideas in a week. Like one week I thought I wanted to be a vet, another one I wanted to be a rock star astronaut on the moon. That's right. I would fly to space just to play a show on the moon. And then when I was like 15,
I love you ESTJs with such unreasonable expectations for reality.
Right. And so I was like, when I was 15, I finally decided like, okay, like I want to be a lawyer. Everyone said you're going to end up in STEM. And I'm like, no. Because it was funny because I told my sister, I'm like, oh, I want to go to law school eventually, be a lawyer. And she's like, oh, yeah, on the outside, she's like, oh, yeah, I really support that. Internally, she's like, yeah, I'm going to see you having a STEM degree in the future. Like, there's just no way. Like, everyone knew I would end up in STEM except me. So it took me 2.5 years of undergrad to figure out, okay. And it was a particular class where we had to like pretend to be trial lawyers because I liked the reading and the writing of law. I like figuring out how and why legal precedent is established. But I didn't want to go to court for multiple reasons. Number one, I argue enough. Like I didn't want to argue. Like I didn't want to be like argue 9 to 5 and then come home off the clock and then argue with whoever I'd be coexisting with. Number two, when you're a lawyer, you only tell half the story. You only argue half the case. And I didn't like that aspect because it's like, wait a minute, no. If there's a story, I'm going to tell you every gritty detail there is, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm not trying to argue for one side or another. I'm just trying to argue what is. Right? Like I don't want to be a storyteller. I want to be the person in the story. And so I took a semester off, which happened to coincide with when COVID started. And I was like, okay, I need to sit back and I need to figure out, like, okay, what do I really want to do? And of course, I asked my family, I'm like, hey, where do you, not in a sense of like, okay, you're the one that's going to tell me what my career is, but where do you think, based on my skill set, like, where do you kind of see me ending up? And all of them said the same three things of architecture, engineering, chemistry. I'm like, okay, probably going to try a STEM degree just because it's like I wanted to work in a field where I would help people, but I wanted to do so more emotionally detached. And I also was an intern at a law firm for a summer just because in some cases could get kind of like, yeah, this is too emotionally charged for me and I don't want to deal with an ugly custody case and a divorce. It's just not the vibe. That's just not the vibe I'm trying to go for. And so this past year, like May 2022, I got an associate's degree in data analytics, which is like can take computer science and mathematics, mix them in a major. And then that spring semester before I graduated, I, for fun, just wanted to take an intro to chemistry course because I was like, you know what, I may want to give it a try. Fell in love with it immediately. I fell in love with it immediately, and I'm like, okay, you know what? And I want to then explore different types of fields of chemistry of what do I want to do. So right now I'm in school as a double major in data science and chemistry with a forensic track. And then when I graduate, I'll have 2 degrees when I graduate. And then I want to get my doctorate in chemistry with a concentration in forensic toxicology, which means I'll be, because the thing is, it's like, I still want to get justice for people, but I'm doing it in a way where it's like, no, I'm the one that physically performed the test to conclusively say whether or not this person is innocent or guilty. And then I also want to look back at older cases and try to overturn either false convictions, people that were convicted without DNA evidence or any type of forensic fingerprint, or try to overturn people where it's like, okay, yeah, this profile was the one responsible and yet you're arrested. Like I want to try to exonerate people that are innocent too down the line. So also in the sense of like, if I am an expert witness in court, like I want you to know, like, yes, you'll blame it on the lawyer or you'll blame it on the cop. I want you to know it was me the one that locked you up. I'm the one that performed the test, though. That's your fingerprint. I'm sorry. So that's kind of where I am. Just it kind of felt like being surprised at my own surprise party of like walking, like everyone's like, surprise, you're in engineering and chemistry, and we all knew except you, feminine FI at the bottom.
Oh.
Well, so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
You're one click off from Coach being that guy worked at like NASA and all that stuff.
Yes,
and I don't know what his social type is, but some people, and I think he believes he's a 2. So it's like, yeah, it's looking similar tracks, but not to say everything's deterministic, but
right. No, I know what you mean.
Yeah, a lot of similarities up in there. Okay, interesting. I mean, the only I've interviewed Kier, who is an ENFP, sleep last ENFP, who's a lawyer. So it's interesting. Like there is an archetype of like the ENTPs and kind of observers, maybe, or like archetypally called the lawyer. I don't know. That's Myers-Briggs days. Who knows which of these patterns actually hold up, and if any of it.
Come on, feminine NF, you've got this.
You know what?
Come on, feminine NF.
No, what? Patterns. They aren't solid. Come on. Fuck that.
Right? What's a pattern?
What's a pattern? Never heard of those.
Right?
So The next thing, I feel like you wrap that up in a good 10 minutes. So my next kind of question. No, I'm just like
Thank
that.
you.
That was very solid.
Thank you.
The next kind of question was like, where social type. So where were you on your social type journey? How did you get from where you were to where you are right now?
Okay.
Um, yeah. So like, where'd you start? Where'd you start when you heard about social types?
I was confused when I first heard about social types. It's like, wait a minute, we're going from 512 to technically 2048 or 1024. So I was like trying to figure out, like, okay, is it just like a specific order? Is there standards and jumpers like there are in the 512? So I was like trying to, you know, get an understanding for like, okay, now I really need to take a deep dive and understand this. I thought I was a 3. I was the only one that thought I was a 3. Like, it's just because I'm like, oh, I specialize in the lab, right? It was for chemistry,
It,
but also in
lab
chem
is a very
you
specialist position. Yes.
yes, but in chemistry you have to be do some specialized, because one wrong move, if you're dealing with something toxic
Mm-hmm.
or flammable or combustible or corrosive, you could dissolve your skin or blow yourself up. And that's just like, you kind of have to be specialized there. But so I started with, okay, maybe I need perspective from others. So I asked the tribe, I'm like, hey, what do you all think? And I've heard everything from 4 to 2. A couple people said 1, but I've heard majority was like, no way are you demon friends. And I completely agree with that. There's just no
Mm-hmm.
way I'm demon friends. Just the amount of just interactions I've had with people, the fact that I can just jump in on a VC and be like, "Brrr," and just like,
Well, that is something to ponder. What does it mean to be friends or demon friends? Like I was thinking about that today, where I was like, what is flex versus friends? If they are
right.
opposite coins, is flex like competitiveness? Even though we all have that, is it like I will take competitiveness over camaraderie? I'm
Hmm.
not sure. So it's yeah, because
I don't know if it's like just competitiveness. I don't know if it's like random competitiveness, because I remember I was out with one of my friends at a Target, and we were at the Lego section of Target just because I'm a really big Lego fan and I have a whole room of it in my house. And so
I've been there.
just
I've been there.
these
I've been
right.
there. Yeah.
So then these two strangers were just like talking at sets, and then my friend's like, oh yeah, she has an entire room in her house, and like she has this one, and then their biggest set was this, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know them. And I was just like sheepishly like, yeah, I've got that. And like, this has this many pieces. But if you're going, but I was much more confident when I was asking them questions about what set they wanted. I'm like, okay, what's your ability level? How long have you been building for? What type of thing are you looking to build? But it's like, I don't know you enough to kind of say, like, hey, here's what I do. Just because it's like,
Mm.
I don't know. I get more comfortable flexing when it's like, one, an area that I feel comfortable in, two, and two, when it's kind of like people I feel comfortable with, where I'm like, oh yeah, you think you're the best at this? Oh yeah, you should see my room, like you should see my Lego room. Or kind of like, oh yeah, you're buying that set, I'm gonna buy it first.
Mhm, mhm. Um, that's pretty. That's the thing to consider is like where is it nested within? So it's like for instance, people early on were telling me like my journey was I started out I was told about this stuff and someone was telling me like, oh, you and I are a responsibility. I was we're twos and I was like I think I'm a one. I
Hmm.
gotta tell you.
Yeah, I think
And
you're
then I
one too.
started like not believing in myself, and I was like, maybe I'm a 3. Maybe it'd be better if I was a 3 to get what I want. Maybe this and that and blah blah. Blah. And I was like, oh wow, being 1 is actually what is would kill me. And I'm like, is killing me. Therefore, I kind of don't want to be a 1.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you're a 1, and you kind of need to own it. But there were
Right.
people who were telling me like, you're too friendly to be a 1. You know, I feel like I could get a beer with you. I'm like, what? Does being a 1 mean I eat babies? Like what? Excuse you.
Only for breakfast.
Only for secondary breakfast.
Like that's the thing, when there is the class about the guy from Google, I was
Mhm.
cringing. And most of the classes, I'm like, I'm not cringing. Like with the Gary V class, I'm like, oh, this guy's real funny. Like I'm like, oh, he thinks
Mhm.
he, I'm like the Gary V class, I'm like, ah. That's funny. Like, oh yeah, I see your pitfall. Like, oh yeah, look at you, like saying you have all these friends, and it's like, what are you doing? And then with the Google guy, I'm like, stop. This is way too cringy. Like stop. Like the
Like,
number
what
two.
did you find cringy about it?
Just everything. Just
Oh, wait. Are you talking about the 2 or the 1?
the two,
That's not at Google. Wait, is
not
that no? It
Google.
wasn't. Wait, it
Yeah,
was at Google. You're right. I was thinking of the ENFP 1 from Microsoft.
no,
Sorry.
not Microsoft. I'm talking
Sorry.
about Google.
So your best is better than mine. Why should I question you? Of course. No. The he was an INTJ. Yeah, and a 2 or something like that.
Yeah. Like
Davey.
near Davy.
Yeah, he was a
Near
Davey.
Davy number 2.
So
And it was
that
just
was
like,
cringy to you. Okay, keep going. Yeah.
yeah, it was just like just the whole vibe of it. I'm like, you're talking so like peppy. Like I'm like, this is super cringy. Like you're not like you're like nothing about it is like, okay, what's your plan? What's your vision for the company? Like what are you proud of? And it's just like, yeah, like I get it, like you're proud of everyone else, but it's like you're the CEO of Google.
Like own it.
Yes. Like, what are you doing? Like this is so cringy. So I was like, after that, I'm like, okay, no way, I'm demon friends, because almost everyone's like, oh yeah, you're friend savior. So it narrowed down to 2 or 4. But the fact that nobody has said 3, I think knocks out 4 for me, because let's say, for instance, I was a 4, no one would have said 1. They would have said 2, 3, and 4. But since no one
Yeah.
said 3, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can't be specialized since nobody's saying it.
Yeah.
People
Okay.
see the friends, and that's why they say 4. But I've heard no one be like, "Oh yeah, you're a 4 just because I see you like I see you specialized too." Like no one said specialized.
What the community consensus has been is we're seeing friends.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's funny because I was like, I knew I was demon friends.
Hmm.
You know, like I was like, I know I'm demon friends. Like, and then people were like, there were people who I'd be close to someone like, you're not demon friends. You're not demon friends because you're so nice to me. And I'm like, and then they were talking about ones, and they were saying ones always say that they want to take over the world. And I'm like scrolling through my Facebook posts, like on the channel.
No.
Like, you know how do you remember how I did the digital dance off?
Yes.
One of them I said what like I was asking questions to the community about like typing and data and blah blah. I go, well, I guess we're gonna have to take over the world and the government if we're gonna get the correct typing data on, like get people through school on this. I'm just like, oh, God.
Yep, there it is.
God damn it!
Right.
Like I've been doing this the whole time. Yeah, so it's pretty intense. But like there'll be people who are like, oh, you're my special person who I'm friendly with, or you're my special person I flex to, I brag to behind the scenes.
Right.
Like it's weird like that. It's weird like that. So on your social type journey, I've heard you talking about basically like being at work and just taking on responsibilities. So like could you walk us through like what that's like? What like you got there and what happened? You got there first and what happened?
So I've been at the job I'm currently at. Like I don't work there during the school year just because my school's 2 hours away from where I would be working normally. But I got there almost 2 years ago. Within 3 weeks, I was asked if I wanted to be promoted to manager. And then 2 weeks later, I started my first shift. My second shift ever, I opened by myself. I was a manager there for over a year. And so I worked there Black Friday. And so they had me train somebody for 2 hours because it was a first shift. And then apparently I found out from my store manager that if I had stayed where I was, my district manager was thinking of promoting me to an assistant manager at some point. So I would have been second in command at a different, either that location or a different one. And he's like, is there any way we can talk him out of like not going to school? Like, is there any way we can kind of keep her there? So when they asked me back this summer, I of course jumped at it. I'm like, oh yeah, like totally. And then within like an hour or two since I got back, well, originally my first day was supposed to be last Thursday, but there was a situation where there wouldn't have been a closer. So my assistant manager asked me like, hey, do you mind like closing without even thinking about it? I'm like, oh yeah, like of course I'll close, but I can come in at 4. Like I'll stay 4 to 9. Like, of course.
Mm.
Like, I understand, like, oh yeah, I'll help my coworkers out. Like, oh yeah, plus you need help, and I don't want you to be by yourself for 2 hours, for 3 hours actually. Like, that's just not the move. So like of course I'll help you out. So I came in on a Monday at 4, and then I found out from my store manager, he's like, "Is there any way you want to be a temporary manager for 2 weeks?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, of course. Like, what's the situation?" He's like, "Well, it would have been we've only would have had two managers at our store, and normally there's like there should be 3 to 4."
Mm-hmm.
So then he's like, "Hey, do you want to be a temporary manager for 2 weeks?" And I'm like, "Oh, absolutely." So I actually had my first management shift today, and then I have my first 8 hour one tomorrow. But it's
Mm.
just kind of like at work, I can get very like I need to have my hand in everything. Where it's
Mm.
like I will go wherever like somebody either tells me to go or I go where I feel like I'm needed to go. Where it's like, hey, nobody's in the front room supervising. Like, oh, I'll go in the front room. Or okay, I'm in the front room, but I'm constantly checking the register every 2 to 3 minutes just to make sure that if there's a line building up, because if there's a line building up, then I have to run over and help register so the other person's not overwhelmed. And I always tell my coworkers, if you ever have a question or if you're ever dealing with somebody difficult, come and get me.
Mm.
I will tell you to take 5 in the back and I will deal with it. I have no problem telling somebody off if they're
Mm.
disrespecting my coworker.
Mm.
Because especially if it's like a problem with like store policy where it's kind of like don't take your issue with corporate out on my coworker, because
Yeah.
if they were to do follow what you wanted, it could risk them losing their job. Like,
Mhm.
I get you want your return a certain way, but don't take that out on my coworker.
Yeah. Oh, I don't get that. It's just.
Or just like the urge where if like somebody's struggling, it's just like there's just something that's like burning inside me or about to like so I feel this need to like I need to pounce on it. Like I need to jump on
Mm.
it. Where it's like if somebody's struggling with something, I'm like, hey, do you need help with that? Hey, what do you got going on over here? Hey, what do you got this? And it's interesting because for my quarterly review before I left for college, I was kind of nervous how I was going to go because I'm like, please don't just give me like general store goals as like of something I need to work on. Like, please tell me what I actually need to work on. And the two things that he said is like, oh, I noticed you struggle to ask for help because you're afraid of being wrong.
I know what that's like.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, I noticed that you or hesitate to ask for help because you're afraid of looking inaccurate or you're afraid of being wrong or you're afraid of not having all the answers. So I noticed that. Also, in terms of like the you don't struggle to do your job because you're doing nothing. You struggle to do your job because you're doing your job and everybody else's. So do not be afraid to ask for help and be like, hey, can you run this? Hey, can you do this? So it's like delegating is just sometimes can be a nightmare because it's just like you I think in myself, oh, I'm not taking much on.
Mm-hmm.
But to people on the outside, they're like, you are holding on to way too much. You are 50 places at once. So it's like, how can you be the best leader that you can be if you're like everywhere?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, that's something that's been interesting about the ones versus the twos. Is at first they were saying that the twos were the entrepreneurs, and now they put the label on the ones. And I'm like, and I was like, I can't be a two because I'm not an entrepreneur.
Right.
But it seems like we have, I don't know, the responsibilities people seem to be more entrepreneurial. Period.
Right.
Um, but the twos, we do have we have the selection of twos, and they're startup people. And they talked about Alex Hermosi being like the alpha, and they're
Mhm.
like, oh, the common thing that was not type related between the alphas is like someone in their family disapproved of them
Hmm.
as like that and put pressure and like that pressure like I'll show you like the responsibility I'll show you, and they went way further because they had to they had a chip on their shoulder.
Oh yeah.
Um but the question one question is just like do you have a trouble right now with work life balance?
Yes, I've had issues with friendships and relationships because of how
Mm,
much I would overcommit to my job.
mm,
Yes,
mm,
I've had that happen. I've had that expressed to me multiple times. Friendships or relationships be like, you work too much. You don't take enough days off. You overexert yourself. Or I've had multiple times where it's like, I would overhelp with things, and I've had people tell me it's not your job. Don't worry about it.
mm.
Like, it's not your job. That's not your job. Let somebody else figure it out. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. If I don't figure this out, I'll feel like I disappointed not just myself. I feel like I have disappointed my entire workforce or the people underneath me. It's like, oh, no. It feels like it's like my hand is on fire if I don't jump in.
Where do you rationalize where that comes from other than just the type? You know, if I ask you, where's that come from? What would your bullshit brain tell me?
I guess feeling the need to constantly prove myself. Like, I definitely relate to what you were saying about like having the chip on your shoulder or the constant need to prove yourself. I even as a kid or as a young adult, I always felt the need to, or as a teenager, I should say, I always felt the need to prove myself through achievement. And I thought to myself, if I achieve the best grades I can get, if I make honor roll, if I do this, if I commit to this, or if I have the, good grades, if I'm sociable, likable, if I build a solid, if I have a good reputation, I can earn love or I can earn something. It's like,
ooh, that is something I've been hearing from the ones is the I have to do this to be loved. Like I wouldn't feel like I even deserved it if I didn't do it this way. I'd be like, this can't be real. Like if someone just gave me, nah, this isn't real.
It's almost like if I have to, it's almost like I have to prove myself to you. It's like I have to prove I'm valuable. I have to prove I'm lovable. Like it very much feels like that.
What's funny is when I talked to like possibly Forrest, I'm like, don't be so. Oh, you could be just love for who you are. Like, and I'm like,
no, I better have something to that. Like I better have something in my name because I have to prove that it's like, at least in my mind, it's like I can say I'm this, but if I don't have something to back that up, I'm just spewing words. Well, I can tell you I'm a hard worker, but that doesn't mean jack shit. If it's like, oh yeah, you got promoted right off the fly. Like people were impressed with how quickly you picked up on things. People have said you're a fast learner. You're not afraid to put yourself in situations. You're always the first person to jump on. Like if you just tell me I'm a hard worker, that's not enough for me. Show me. Don't tell me, show me.
So the show, how would they have to show you? By the what they put on you, what they like, the responsibilities they give you? Because I kind of feel that, like, I'm like, oh, you think I would do this? Like, you're worried about me? How dare you be worried about me? How dare you be worried about me? Even though I have all the history that you should probably be worried about me. But
right. Where it's kind of like
I've failed many times, but you shouldn't be worried about me now.
Oh yeah, if I
feel you even thought about it.
Yes, it's like I almost feel embarrassed to ask the same question more than once because I beat myself up or I should have remembered it the first time. But you only have to tell me. So if you tell me something, like especially work-wise, it's like if you have to tell me something more than once, that means I must have failed to remember something or I must have failed this. And it's like it's even still, it's like before, just because I stayed later twice in the past week just to catch up on closing and opening store procedures, just to make sure nothing changed within the time from August when I last was a manager till now, just to make sure, hey, is there anything that I need to catch up on? Is there some new closing procedure? Is there a new thing with the envelope? Okay, how do you feel that? Like, just to make sure, it's like I want to drill this into my head so that when I am closing on my own, I don't have to ask for questions. I don't have to ask because I would have everything perfect.
Yeah. I get that. I get the I don't want to check with others. I don't want to ask twice. And there are times where I've had to ask twice. Just like it's real. There's a lot of, I really hate myself for anyone having to baby me. I really fucking hate myself. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I use the term like it's showing your neck.
Right.
I can't.
Oh yeah, I hate the don't spoon feed me, don't baby me, like throw me right in the fire.
And then when anyone's like telling me what to do, I'm like, there's an insecurity. I'm like, yeah, I know this. I'm like, I need to stop. Why? Like I'm wasting their time with my words now. I'm realizing that. I do want to point out to you, like, that when I said that the fours sometimes say like you can be loved for who you are, like I am working on downloading that. Like I am trying to be like, okay, actually download what these people are saying
Right.
and learn to feel loved before you get there. Because if you don't, you're like, you'll get there and you'll be like, okay, now what? Like, it'll be like, did anything change? You never allowed yourself to be loved. Are you going to allow yourself to be loved when you're there? You
Right.
know?
Yeah. Yeah, like I totally relate to what you're saying of like, oh yeah, I have to prove that I'm lovable. Like I know it's so cringy. Like it's just kind of like, what do you
Okay.
mean?
I get the instinct. The instinct is in me too, and we have to work with that. Like that's what I'm saying. Like yes, but there is like I'm like part of doing these interviews is like I have to learn from all you guys. I have to learn from all the types and what they all have to teach me. Like
Right.
what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong. It's and like I said, like the flexers are fucking flexing too much. They'll flex when there's nothing to flex about, and then the fours are on the other side. I'm like, oh my god, maybe they're connecting with people too quickly.
Yes, like I remember because I was
But
watching one of your interviews and it was
Mhm.
like the fours are like, "Oh, I'll just do enough to get by." And I'm like,
I brought
"What?"
that up in my OTIM interview.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I was just like when I heard that I'm like, "Yeah, bye."
Yeah, bye.
What do you mean?
You
Like
must achieve.
no, I don't want to earn enough just to get by. I don't want to earn enough just to get by and live paycheck to paycheck. I want to earn enough where I am just sitting comfortably, where I'm like, no, 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 you don't understand. I don't care if I have to grind 50 to 60 hours a week. If at the end of the day, I'm sitting comfortably. If I overwork myself, fine. Like,
Mhm.
I don't care. Like, for me, it's just like, how do you, like, I don't want to get by. Like, I just want to, like,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. And I feel that. But it's like it did take some of the people who were like not save your responsibility to be like, hey, you're a bit too hard on yourself. And that's a lot of negativity. Everyone can sense.
Yes, yes.
And
Like if
like,
beating
oh
myself up was
shit.
a sport, like if beating myself up was an Olympic sport, I'd take gold every year I'd enter. Like I'm sorry, nobody like you can get silver, fine. You're not taking gold from me. There's just no way. like like if you earned $1 every time you insulted yourself, like there we go. There's my money. Now I'm Gary V. Entrepreneurship. There we go. There's my business.
Okay.
Self-deprecation.
Okay. Our first comment and only comment from our only viewer. Actually, now that I see this, I'm like, I should bring Coach B and Carolina on. But Coach B says, would you try hard to be the best forensic evidence scientist on the planet?
Define best. Like
Yeah.
best as in you've put the most amount of discipline and work in. Best as in you've solved the most amount of cases in a short period of time. Best as in you solved something that took 50 years to unsolve. Like there's so many different ways you could kind of go about best. But to answer your question, yes, in one way or another. I just don't know what
One.
way
I'll
that
do
is
it
yet.
one way. I just don't know which one.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know how, but I will.
Yes.
Swear to God.
Yes. Like if like the question is like if someone asked me the question of what do you do, my answer is yes.
Do you want to do this? See,
Just what do you do? Just yes.
yes to that. Just no time for anything else. No time.
Right.
Well, I'm like I tried to kind of chip away at this with Otim when I was talking to him, but like I was like, do you see? And it felt like I was kind of like just trying to do the math of like, okay. How is specialized the true unlock for the twos? Like, how is it? And I was thinking about it, and it seems like Kieran brought this up where he's like, when he plays games, he's like, I min max. Like he's like, I got to min max and be the best and be better than everyone. So the flex is essentially like a competitiveness. He's like, I must min max. Like, I'll do my demons, I'll do my voids. I think the responsibility is kind of like I don't feel comfortable having voids in myself. Is that possible? Like, do you think that?
What do I think? I don't. I think.
'Cause I'm
I
working
think.
through this.
I think the crickets just summed it up right there.
You don't think about it. Okay, I was thinking of making a video literally on the mechanics of responsibility versus specialized, because responsibility versus specialized, the definitions, they are not, that is not a coin. That is not a definitive coin.
Right.
Staying on task does not mean you are not getting results.
Right.
Like, those aren't opposites. So I'm like, there must be a separate mechanic. And the other thing is responsibility is cooked into your saviors. So why is it the definition of saviors is you're responsible for, and then we have a separate coin that's you're responsible for?
Right. So
else?
is it like you're just like cracked out on responsibility?
Well, my only guess is it's social. I was saying it was demons. People found that a bit offensive. It might be like a desire to do your demons somehow, even though it caused the exact same pain as everyone else. Because they said the responsibility people will react more positively towards negative feedback and pain.
Right.
I was like, well, where does pain come from? It comes from your demons. It comes from your voids. I was like, okay, maybe not the demons, but it's like the void is the social void you're leaving.
Right.
So like you're leaving a void that everyone else is knowing, and maybe the responsibility are like, oh fuck, my void. I'm leaving a void.
Yes.
I must fulfill that void.
Right.
And it's not that ones and twos are more growth mindset automatically. It's like, because there are fixed, I've seen fixed mindset everything everywhere. In myself, reading the fixed mindset book, I'm just like, holy shit, I was so fixed mindset. I am so fixed mindset. I'm so fixed mindset. Like,
yeah,
in so many areas. But it's like once you hear about it, and it's like where's it nested within you? For me, it was nested with I can't flex anymore without being growth mindset. Like, because it's getting me nowhere. So nested within, therefore responsibility. Whereas like the responsibility is just like they're working the twos are working themselves to death because they're just like they feel this void and they gotta fill it.
Oh yeah. Like there's been times I have fallen asleep on the phone with people because I think I'd have enough energy to do it. To like, oh yeah, I came back from an 8-hour shift. I've worked 45 hours this week. I can have a 3-hour phone call, and then it's like halfway through, it's like boop, 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 boop. And I'll be like, oh, I overextended myself again. Like what? Like, oh, I've made myself physically sick, like to the point of like throwing up and everything, because I would just expend and like, oh yeah, you want to do this now? Okay, we can do that. You want to do this now? Okay, I can go ahead and do that. Like you want to take like, oh yeah, like I can do 5 activities at once and not take a break and nothing click in my head being like, hey, you need to, you're at like a 55 right now and you need to take it to a 2.
Well, that is very sleep lost of you.
Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah. So I'm just wondering what it means because they chose responsibility for a reason, So I'm like, and I've reasoned out I'm like, okay, what is the light and dark on both sides? And so I'm like, so immediately I was talking about the light and specialized. It's like something to do with like pureness and not corruption of the pure expression of that temperament, but that's beside the point. I don't want to get into that right now. But I think it would be a good time to start into the questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just we'll see where the conversation goes. So, first, Kim, if you could be famous for something, what would you like to be famous for?
I've always said since a very early age, and I never knew exactly what that would look like, but I've always said at an early age I'd like to leave a mark on the world. Mm-hmm. What that mark would look like, I don't know. But if I were to be famous for anything, I'd say even if I were to make a difference on one person's life, I would do that. Like even if I were to bring closure to one family or one person on a situation or a cold case, I feel like, okay, that is what I want to be famous for, is bringing closure, truth, clarity, and just like, hey, I know the details of the situation is gritty, but I'd rather you hear it from me and get that peace of mind of like, you don't have to go have a bunch of sleepless nights, or it's like you don't have to go to bed every night thinking like what if. Like, I guess if I were to be famous for anything, it would be, a mix of trying to convict people who committed horrible things and being like, I brought you to justice, but me physically being the one that's, instead of telling the story of here's how you were caught, here's how you were guilty, here's why you're guilty. It's no. Here is microscopic level. Here is a microscopic and biologically why you're guilty, because if the odds say this DNA profile matches 1 in 3 billion people, and you are the closest person living there in an over 2,000-mile radius, pretty sure it's you.
You know what I find funny about you bringing up like the DNA evidence is like something I've been thinking about is what happens when AI video is now going to have to be thrown out just because of AI.
Oh, I know, with like deep fakes and everything. So it's like, how can you determine what's a deep fake, what's not? Like, especially in terms of if there's CCTV footage, depending on how updated the footage is or not, how would you be able to slow something down? It's I know it's gonna get messy, especially if it's like the digital forensics and whatnot. Like, I know that's especially gonna be a mess, and it's like, how do you moderate it? How do you
Well, the funny thing is we're just gonna go back to what it was like before, where we didn't have it, which is like, well, we still have the DNA, and it's like, what's the term for it? Epidemiology, how you know that you know something is
epistemology
and epistemology. I don't know.
No,
There's like
I don't
they're
know.
all slightly different.
Yes.
Okay, I'm literally gonna Google it right now. Study of how you know that you know something. Shit, it won't pick it up. Study of.
It's the one thing I never specialized in was spelling.
What you know. Epistemology. How do you know what you know? The logic of knowing something is true or not. The epistemology of it. How will we get down to the epistemology of it? Like, you framed me. Well, this is trusted judge. We trust this judge because of their label. I trust them. I'm just kidding. Like, I'm just being an EP. Trust no one.
Yes.
But yeah. Do you think you settled on that partially? Where do you think that kind of came from? This might be asking a FI question, but like, do you think it came from wanting to go along with your skill set, or something else in your life?
Something I can remember specifically what it was, why I wanted to kind of bring justice and closure to people, because okay, so when I was 6, my great grandmother passed away, and it was stage 4 colon cancer, but she was undiagnosed or misdiagnosed, and something happened where her doctor was kind of negligent and didn't perform a certain check. So by the time they caught it, it could have been preventable, essentially. And so it's like, okay, she had probably 10, 15 years robbed from her. And so it's kind of like a sense, because I never got to say goodbye to her, at least in the way that I wanted to, because I didn't know she was sick then. I was 5 at the last time I saw her. So I had to explain an incurable disease like cancer to a 5-year-old. And I never really felt like, as soon as I found out like, oh, it was a negligence case because like she wasn't checked properly, it's like, you never got closure for something. Or there's been situations in my life or other situations in my life where I'm like, I never got an answer. I never got closure. So if I can help somebody else get the closure that I failed to get, this is where the demon FI comes in. It's like, if I can help you get an answer that I never got, I'm at peace with that. I'm at peace with that. I may never get an answer, but if I can help one more person not play the what if game in their head, or get a peace of mind, essentially, or get closure, even if it's not the answer that they want to hear, I would rather have somebody have an answer to begin with at all, because there's a finality to it. And also in the sense of that I felt like it in a way would kind of be like, I was never at the age where I could give you justice. But I hope through the way in which I live now that in a way it would be kind of like I'm giving you justice now. I could in a way I couldn't, because it's like I was 5, like I couldn't be be a lawyer at 5, or I couldn't do things the way I wanted to as a kid, where it's like I couldn't fight for you then, but I fight for you now. I know that's so deep in that vibe.
No, I mean, like, it makes sense. And sorry, my brain is going back to like my story, of course. But it's like but I'm just saying, like, in my typing video, I was like, I got diagnosis medicine and I had a reaction to it, and we'll never know if this is what caused the spiral.
Right.
And I'm like, we'll never know. And I'm like, maybe we'll know now. Like, but like, I'm like, so and my brain was also going to like AI helping doctors not make routine mistakes. I've even heard that in some videos, like how many things are done just because of malpractice, of just like not doing due diligence. But medicine has been so complex. Like, how could you regulate all that stuff? You wouldn't be able to. You don't have people skilled enough to know more than the doctors. So, or like to a comparable level to be able to like checkmark them. You kind of got to let them work autonomously. So that makes sense. Structurally, sorry. But yeah, I think I think that's a good answer. I think that makes sense. I'm gonna have to sleep on that myself. I think we should move on to the next question.
Absolutely.
Next question for you, Kim. What would constitute the perfect day for you?
Probably expending as much energy as possible and never having to take a rest. So whether it's, I guess because sometimes I've even visited work on a day off just to catch up with my coworkers and see how the store is doing. Like, hey, how's everything running today? Like, what's going on? Like,
I'm judging you right now.
I know. It's just like, oh, let me check up with the. Or if I hear that like I'm not going to see a coworker for an entire week, I'm like, oh, I'll visit. Like, oh, I'll come in and visit today, and like, see if like anything's needed, or if I always tell them like, hey, if you ever needs like, always text me if you need me to like come in, because 95% of the time I'll say like, oh yeah, I'm not doing anything, so I'm on standby in case you need me because I got nothing going on. So I'd probably work 8 hours and then spend the rest of my night with friends. That's my
living the dream. It's like Kim at work, so happy. I
am. I took a picture of me receiving my keys. Oh yeah, they're still in my pocket. Because I never took them. I didn't think to take them out of my pocket, but I have my keys in my pocket. The store keys were in my pocket, and I took a picture because I got my keys last night. And I took a picture and I sent it in a group chat with my friends. I'm like, look, I got my keys.
Joke's on you. I can 3D print those keys now and break into your workplace.
No.
I
actually asked to keep one of the keys as a souvenir, just because it was the fitting room key and it was bent. And I'm like, hey, can I keep this before I left for school? I'm like, hey, can I keep this as a souvenir, as a memento of my time here? Mm-hmm. And I still have that key.
Yeah, that's pretty adorable. You're too wholesome for me. Stop being so wholesome. Where are the Machiavellians? Where are the people who want to take over the world? Where are my people? I'm just kidding.
I feel like I feel like if I were made a Machiavellian, I would have been like, personality-wise, Stack, I would have been like your stereotypical antagonist. Like, they're like, no. Like, that'd be too much.
I get that you're double masculine, but I'm like, why are you so fucking chipper about it?
Right? Imagine me as a 1. I'd be terrifying. I'd be scary as a 1. Right.
Don't need that.
That's why the universe is like, nah, we need to make her safer friends just to balance out. Just to balance
the
out
little pot of like we were making Kim, we threw quite a bit of positivity and friendship in there.
Yeah.
Some sugar inside this.
Just a teaspoon of assertiveness. Oops.
Oops. And friendly too.
Right.
Oh my god.
So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Or another way for my perfect day would be in my Lego room by myself for 13 hours and building until I would feel physically exhausted.
Well, I almost went down the path of like buying Legos, and I was like, no, this will not bring me any fulfillment. So, how old are you again?
24.
24. Okay.
I started building when I was 7.
Same. Well, no, I started building when I was like 2. I don't know.
I was 7. I remember where I was, and I remember the set.
Actually, Kim, I have to ask you a question. I have to ask you
Yes.
for a favor now. I
Yes.
need you to make a video of a tour of your Lego room.
I absolutely will make a tour.
Please do that and post it somewhere. I don't
Yes.
know. Just send it straight to me.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. I'll make a tour.
because basically what my like I was the Lego kid in my family, and is that a double masculine thing? The
I don't
blocks,
know.
the block banging.
I don't know. It was funny because I remember it's so bad. I still remember the very first set I built with my dad and my sister. I remember the room in which I remember the room I was in. I remember exactly where I was sitting too.
Mm-hmm.
I was 7 years old, and it was the B-Wing Lego Star Wars B-Wing fighter. It was like 540 something pieces, and I was sitting in my living room. There was there was a brown table near the door to go outside of the porch, and I was sitting on the side that was like back to the door. And I remember asking my dad after every step, was this accurate? Was this right? Does this look correct? Like, am I doing this right? And then ever since then, it was like I started on my own, building a couple hundred, then a few hundred, and then I think at like 9 or 10 I built my first 1,000, and then at 11 I built the Taj Mahal, which was like I think 5,922 pieces, give or take a couple. Built that at 11, and then ever since then it's very therapeutic to me because I like seeing you have a bunch of things that are apart, and then it's like the coming together aspect of like, okay, you see something like you're starting with 5,000, 6,000. Like the biggest I've ever done, I think, was 11. But
did you ever do Bionicles?
Yes, I did. Okay. First wave was amazing, and then the relaunch flopped for whatever reason, and I don't feel like people appreciated them enough.
Oh yeah. Well, what do you mean first wave? I remember when they got the rolling guys, the guys who could fold the ball. There were those 2 dinosaur things.
Oh, those were fun.
They got those for me, and they were like, "Oh, it's gonna take 3 hours," and I was like, "Dude, an hour."
No, it's not, right?
Yeah, it's not 3 hours. Like
there was only like one set that I was not the proudest of, and I got it when I was 10, and it was like not the 10,000 piece Eiffel Tower. Yes, I do have that one. But when I was 10, there was this 3,400 piece Eiffel Tower that came out that I think was too advanced for me at the time because I'm missing so the base is like the 4 columns that kind of converge into that whole part is just gone. So there's a third of it gone. And so it looks decent, but I'm like, I purposely bought the 10,000 piece one because I'm like, I need to redeem myself. I need a redemption. This set needs to be redeemed, and I need to do it proud. So
what do you do when you're done with them? Do you keep them all? You don't keep them all assembled. You break them apart when you're done with them eventually, or do you keep them all assembled?
I keep them together.
You keep them all assembled?
I keep them assembled, and I like to create different scenes out of them. If there's minifigures involved, I like to create scenes for them. And I also I've built cases for a couple of them just so when I do have my own place in the future that they're easily transportable. I'm gonna have a whole room in my house that's just my Lego room. Non-negotiable. I don't care who I live with. I'm getting that room. I don't care. That's my space. And when I'm in my hermit Lego mode, you leave me alone.
Oh my God. That's hilarious. I mean, that's funny. It's good. It's something. I don't know what it is. It's a lot. So I had the same Lego stuff, and they told me I'd be in STEM, but being a savior NF, you're just like, fuck this,
right?
Yeah, it's I don't.
Imagine that's such a trip, savior NF, but masculine ST. So it's kind of like, I don't want to do that, but it's like, why am I so
good at
shovey? I have to shove on it, even though I just don't want to respect it. I don't want to, but it's and then with me, it's just kind of there's just no way. Just
Can't be
no
stopped.
way I'm ending up anywhere else. There's just no way.
You're just like it fits me too well. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh wow. But your perfect day. Back to your perfect day. Your perfect day wouldn't be anything special. You wouldn't want to be in like. Can we go into dreamland for a second and be like, what's your ideal day? Is your
Okay,
ideal day? Or
Dreamland?
wait, do you work at? You work in customers. Do you work at like a restaurant? You work at a restaurant.
Retail.
Retail. You work at retail. Okay, your retail is magically transported to Hawaii, and all your friends are nothing like that.
Oh, that'd
Like,
be
you could
fun
do that?
too.
Yeah,
Oh,
that'd
that'd
be
be
fun too.
fun. Okay, so if we're
Let's
talking
like
like
go into
perfect day,
Ideal Land.
like the most nonsensical thing I've ever said I've wanted to do, and I know this isn't possible right now, I want to stick my hand in lava just to see what it would feel like. Because I want to, and the reason being is I want to stick my hand in lava because I want to see if it's like stringy like gum or oobleck, or I want to see if it like disintegrates in your hand. I want to see if it's like sand where it kind of falls through your hand, or if it's stringy like glue. Or something I want to do is like, do you know what people like have a bunch of Elmer's glue on their hand and then they peel their hand off? I want to do that with lava, but have like a lava cast of my hand. I feel like that'd be real. I've always wanted to stick my
I
hand in
feel
lava.
like this is how Kim's gonna go out. Don't take Kim to Hawaii. Kim will have the intrusive thoughts. And be
No,
like,
no. What I want to do, I want to sky when I'm 85.
okay,
I want to
you're 80.
skydive, no parachute, and land in the lava with like a thumbs up and like a like like that's how I'm going out because hey, if I'm not gonna go out like dingy in a bed. That's just not the vibe. That's not my vibe.
I literally was thinking about that as we were talking. I was like, oh my god, do all old people just die in an old folks' home, not surrounded by their loved ones because no one wants to talk to them? Like,
No, I'm gonna make sure the news is there. I'm like, I want you to see this happen.
I'm holding someone up. I'm going out with a bang.
Right?
Ugh.
Like you're gonna hear about it, but like if it's not like work related, like oh my perfect okay, because there's many different places I could be on the beach. I could be an amusement park would be really fun. I'd be there all day.
Yeah.
And I'd have like the pass that makes me skip the line as much as I want, so I don't have to like wait. I'm not spending 2 hours of my day just standing in a line. Not the vibe. I've done it.
Yeah. You gotta go when no one's there. You gotta go on an odd day.
No, I'm gonna no. My perfect day would be rent the amusement park for a day, so only I and the people that I like, my people can go on. Everyone else, just I'm sorry. If you bought tickets that day, you'll get refunded, but you're not getting in. Like, I'm sorry, but it has to be during Halloween because Halloween's my favorite holiday.
Yeah, that is fun. That is pretty fun. What do you like to dress up for as Halloween? Halloween usually. I've one too many times dressed up as Death.
So I've been kind of all over the place. One year I was Sharpay Evans.
Who?
From High School Musical.
Oh, okay.
Like the drama nerd.
Okay.
And then another year I've been a witch, I've been a goth kid, I've been a vampire, I've been a ghost, I've been Patrick Star.
Okay.
No. So, but to the point where I went to a children's store and bought a butterfly net. So I taped jellyfish to the butterfly net. I had a wallet so I could do this "Where's my wallet" gag. I brought bubbles so I could blow bubbles and like sing a song about bubbles. And then I also had when someone's like, I remember when I did the trick or treating thing, they're like, "Are you something else?" And I'm like, "No, this is Patrick." And then I had a pink party hat that I had in my head and I tied my hair in like a bun so you wouldn't see it. I dyed like these like not Vans but like Vans type shoes like and a sweater and something else pink. I had a purple bow tie. I went to like a craft store with like purple Hawaiian flowers and taped in the green shorts I had like pink socks on. Oh, I went all out for this. I really did.
And the stockings?
Or like one year I went as a nerd. And I brought a dictionary with me and I read definitions to people when I was trick-or-treating.
I just decided I don't like you anymore.
Well, we're lucky I'm not in middle school anymore, so we're good. You don't have to worry about that. But
I'll forgive you. I've doubled.
right. No, I've been yeah, that was middle school, but
No. That's really funny. That's actually pretty clever. I'm a nerd and I'm reading definitions to you. Oh my gosh. Okay. I think we're ready to move on to the next question. God, this was the worst way to do it. Kim, for what in life do you feel most grateful?
I think it's hard to answer that question because I don't think I've lived enough of life yet for me to be like, oh yeah, this is the one thing in my mind that I'm like the most grateful for. But I guess to say like the opportunity to growth, I guess I know this is gonna sound really cheesy and like whatever,
Loud,
but I'm
Jesus,
really
loud.
grateful. I'm actually really grateful for OP in a lot of ways, just because I'm grateful it finally helped me see who I was because I typed myself completely upside down before OP, and it's kind of like the thing of like you hear a lot in like personality things where it's like you're afraid of your own darkness, and for me I was never afraid of the dark. I was always afraid of the light. I was always afraid of like, oh yeah, like I was never afraid to like I wasn't afraid to face the shadow. I was afraid to face the person in the mirror a lot of before OP, and then like finally getting that confirmation of like no, everything you thought you weren't, that's what you do all day, like so like self-consciously and not really realizing it. And I guess the amount of growth I've done in the past almost 4 years, I've been incredibly grateful for. And meeting even people that have different functions than me or different modalities or different animal stack, it's even still, it's been so grateful to meet a bunch of people who share the same goal as me of being like, okay, we're just trying to be maybe 1% better. Like we're all trying to, work on ourselves. And it's nice to, finally have people that be surrounded by people who want to work on themselves instead of just, oh, this is just how it is, and we just need to, it's just always going to be that way, and we're just going to like wallow, and it's just kind of like, no, I'm tired of that. Like, I want to level up.
It's pretty sad. Yeah, I want to level up.
I want to level up. Like, oh yeah, tell me what I'm struggling to do, because I want to work at it constantly. And I just feel grateful for the people that I have in my life now. I've honestly can say I've feel better than I ever have. Like I finally feel like it's like, okay, I got rid of things that are just like not for me anymore. And it's like I've kind of not only figured out like, okay, this is what I want in life. I figured out what I deserve in life or what I want for myself in life. It's like, no. You think you think you want here? No. You better aim for no lower than here. Like it was nice to finally like learn, okay, like I'm grateful for like the lessons I've learned along the way, because it made me a better and a stronger person, I believe.
That's my answer too. Like a lot of people are saying that. A lot of people are saying that for sure. And that's kind of the only way to like people. Like I listen to people who are like, oh, the world's so hard, so sad. There is no meaning, and I'm like, oh, I feel sorry for you.
And if there's none of that, go make it.
Yeah.
Like nothing's stopping you. Like if you see a void somewhere, make it.
Yeah.
Because it's like because it's nice, the friends I have now, it's like I told them, it's like, hey, I've been trying to do this for years, but I often struggle to read nonverbal communication. I struggle to read between the lines. I can't read facial cues very well. I have a hard time kind of like reading people, getting a gauge on people. Like most of the time people are just emotionally blank to me. And like, please understand that if I'm not picking up on something, it's not intentional. Like I really am trying. So like, hey, like let me know like if I said something like offensive, or if there's something that's going on that you like think I should know. Because it's like I'm not trying to not pick up on it. I really am. Like my brain's just like blank. That's the best way I can describe it. I'm like, really, like I'm not like that's just me.
XE not found, whatever.
Arrow 404, like
Deliverable not found, whatever. Yeah.
right, like Arrow 404, like reading facial cues not found, like that, where it's like, and it's nice to kind of say like, hey, it's something I'm trying to work on. So if I mess up on that, like, be patient with me on it, because
Not to be offensive, but
nothing really offends me.
I know, I'm sure, but like Dave said something about an ESTJ and like the ST savior being like the autism ish. Does sound
I've
a little
I
bit like
remember like they did a video on that a couple years ago, and it was like save your sleep,
yeah,
masculine sensory savior, leaning more on the SI side, but it's kind of like things can get kind of dicey because you have somebody like me who's sleep last, and it's like, okay, how does that check out?
well, actually, so what I know, so like I really want data on clustering of disorders in type. And I very much pick up on something just Jordan Peterson said once, and he said it's not a question of like where are you gonna it's not a question of like well basically he said it's like your balloon. The real question is why'd you blow out that one direction
Right.
with your mental illness? Why didn't you blow out? And I'm like, well, if this is how we actually cognate, if personality is how we actually process everything we're doing, shouldn't there be some clustering or some explanation? And if we knew that, wouldn't we be able to offer people the correct solutions? You know, and Dave kind of has that view of it where he's like it's like like modern psychology sometimes is like bloodletting, like leeches. Like it just feels like it's really old. And I'm not seeing people's mental health improving in the world. I'm seeing it only get worse as time goes on. So that's all. So I was like, but the study I know about is you know Borat.
Yes, I do.
His
Yes, I do.
brother is a neuroscientist who studies autism. And what he found out was he could link autism to exposure to testosterone in the uterus, and that they could create an algorithm that would detect how masculine your face is that could predict whether or not you would have autism if your face
Oh,
was more masculine.
wow.
Yes. So they were saying it was like sleep consume, and I don't know if he said feminine, but I was like, it's not feminine. Autism is not feminine. I don't know. There's something about it. And I can only just speculate and come up with theories. I have zero data. So
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So I'm like, I've only had theories, and one was like, what if it's two masculine observers? That would explain the savant syndrome of really good memory in some people without the savants without. But you don't have autism, do you? Do you have? Oh, you do. Oh, yeah, you do have.
Yes, I do.
I think you said it. I think you said it
Yes.
before.
Yes, but it's funny because it's like when people are like, "Well, how did you figure that out?" I'm like, "I was around 6." So it's like I can't tell you. I think it's like back then it's like I was kind of like a guinea pig for a specific study. So that's how much it was kind of not known about it at the time. And I think people were like, "She's supposed to be a girl. Why isn't she more emotional?"
Well, I think
This isn't my
Felix,
belief, by the way. Like it
no.
was just
I
like
know Felix broke down that women are more commonly thinkers and TE,
right.
and men are more commonly TI, but also more commonly feelers.
Right.
But it was like where are these like there is something to the stereotype kind of, but like it's like are we judging people for where their masculines fall? Are we like because women do
Right.
tend to be more feminine sensory? Um, is it
Right.
something to do with that? Is it just history been looking at men and women be like they push here, therefore they're there?
Right.
I was like, or is it an adaptive thing that's just where it is now? I have no
Right.
other clue.
And then it's like you get me, and it's like, okay, yeah, you're pushing way too much on that, and it's like because it's funny because it's like the nickname that my friends have for me is Captain Beep Boop, and we joke that my dad created me in a lab and that I'm a robot, And so every time I have like a program error, I'm like, Dad, why'd I do it? He's like, oh, you forgot I programmed you that way. Or it's like, Dad, why'd you program me that way? Like we have
That's a funny
jokes
joke.
about me being a robot all the time that we crack with friends. Or I remember there was a poll on something a couple weeks ago, and my friend is like, oh, Kim counts as 2 votes because one for her human half and one for her robot half.
That's pretty funny. Actually.
Oh, I know. It's like, or every time I talk, they're like beep 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 boop.
Some people get offended by like ST being robotic, but I'm like, why do you think the robots behave that way? It's because ST's programmed them.
Right.
they're just recreating themselves.
Like it's so bad just because it's really funny because my grandmother used to have this game, I kid you not, called Blockhead that I used to play all the time. And I would challenge myself because I would play with it by myself. I played with others, but when I would play with it by myself, I would challenge myself to stack all the blocks on top of each other with as different combinations as possible without knocking the tower over. And I just love the irony of like, oh yeah, I played a game called Blockhead. And I ended up being a blockhead. Like one of the most cranked up a blockhead can get.
Oh, how do you feel about like, masculine ST saviors, like, and then feminine demons? Like, what does that feel like for you?
So the analogy that was given for the inverse of that, which is feminine saviors, masculine demons, is like turning Hulk syndrome. Yeah. I'd say the inverse is Bruce Banner syndrome, where it's you start as the Hulk and you turn into Bruce Banner because you have feminine demons. So it's kind of like you're winding down. It's like, great, you're this wimpy scientist. You were the Hulk and you turned into this like dork. like when they told it, like when they said like sissy syndrome is another, like when they said like the
sissy syndrome, yeah.
Yes, like another good name for it. So
bonk, 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 bonk,
yes, and then it's like when you when you turn on like a hose, like a garden hose for the first time in like a few months, where it's like, okay, there's nothing coming up. And of course, me being kinesthetic is like I have to do the physical, like I'm not just telling you the audio of the story. It's like I have to physically move my body, which I'm like, yep, I physically, like there's a lot of movement when I have to tell stories because it's like, oh yeah, like the water, like, and then I have to make the effect of the water. Yeah, it's now ever since I was told that, I'm like, oh yeah, that checks out. Like so having like when the demon state finally takes over, it is just this, it's overwhelming. It can feel very consuming. I feel very pathetic in it just because I'm like, I know everybody else is seeing this and it looks like you didn't have to fix all this. You do know that, right? Like, and then it's like, and it's more so, it used to be back then of like, oh, you're making me do this and like blah, blah, blah. But now it's just more like I unconsciously try to solve everything for everyone again, and I tried to logic everything out and try to make everything clear, and I overexerted myself and I completely messed the vibe, or like, oh, I shouldn't have confronted that issue in that particular moment, and there was something telling me I shouldn't, but then my responsibility to the ST took over and I messed up the entire vibe of a conversation. And so it's more so when I have the sissy syndrome now, it's more so at myself of, it's like, oh, I didn't grow as much as I think I did. But it's like, oh, but the fact that you're recognizing it now shows growth. Whereas if this were a few years ago, you wouldn't be aware of where you messed up. Whereas now it's, oh, like I'm not necessarily sorry for being clear, like being ST clear. If like I'm sorry for the time in which I said it, that you were in a place to hear it and I didn't listen to you.
For you, wait, you doing that? Where someone?
Sometimes when I would kind of, try to block bang a problem, I would do so when people weren't ready to hear it. So it's not necessarily that I would say the wrong thing, but I would say things at inappropriate times of kind of being like, everybody else is crying, and then there's you being like, all right, time to fix it. But you need to cry on your shoulder. Nope, cry later.
Feelings come later.
Yeah, Abby Lee, save your tears for the pillow. Not that not that extreme, but I imagine to people that's kind of how it came across of like, we need to solve the problem, and like everyone else is crying together, and then there's me of like, what's the best solution for blah blah blah. Can you not see everybody's crying? And here's you, like, yes, it's my version of like my intentions are well because I'm trying to help, but it's not the right tool. And so I kind of learned to flip the TE back on itself of being like, you're being really selfish right now. Thinking that
That
this
you're
is
saying it's your way. Yeah, your way of your
yeah,
savings.
yes,
That makes
you're
sense.
being selfish because if you really wanted to help people like you say that you do, you would help them the way that they need it, not the way that you think they need it. You would be listening to them instead of listening to yourself right now.
Okay, that's pretty good. It is. It is. But that was a bit more Well, I'm just wondering about like the demons, like the demon NF state. But it's just different. Like
Sometimes it's hard for me to even describe because it's like I'm feminine NF, so it's like there's nothing I can like grab. Like it's not sensor that I can grab. Like it's kind of like, oh yeah, like I noticed that like what is feminine NF consume? Like what is that? Like you have it as a savior, but it's like it's feminine, so it's kind of like
I was hanging out with someone in a country in Europe, and who was in OP, and they were like, you are the weirdest consume person. Like you're the least picky consume person I've ever met.
yes.
You are the least like I thought all consume people were like connoisseur. I'm just gonna criticize everything. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Yes. Like for me anyway, because it's a demon, it feels like it's like trying to catch butterflies with a hole in your net. So it's kind of like, oh, let me go to take that. But if it flies out of my net, like, oh, you can have it. If that's the one you want, oh yeah, you can take that.
I mean, like for instance, there was one time I was almost like, holy shit! Like I had one time where I was trying to give someone like my NF in the park, not even probably more than a year ago, and it was like so nervous. I was like, I had always thought I was an ENFP, and I was like, why am I so fucking nervous to share my NF?
Right?
Like, why does it feel so weird? And the thing is now in my interviews at the end, I am sharing my NF, but it's like I kind of went down and like, you know what? I think this fucking NF works.
Right.
I think this will work for everyone. So I went like, this will work in reality. I will say this because it works.
Right.
Because it's like, and so I went like, because it aligns with my masculines, I will masculinize my NF.
Right.
But yes, that's kind of my rationale for it. I don't know if it's true or how I'm working it, but like I'm like, nope, I will stand on this. I will stand on this. I will stand on this. But yeah, feminine NF kind of helps you not get like, I've gotten on causes that were stupid, but I've when the time is time to let go of a cause that no longer serves, like, I let it go.
Yes.
So yeah, like everyone picks up stupid causes every now and then. So it's true.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I think we are ready for.
Of course.
What was the last question? Shit.
I think it was the greatest accomplishments. That was the last one.
And it was yours was your growth in those.
Yep.
Which is everyone's answer. Which is my answer. Which is
sorry.
No, it's totally fair. I agree. Like that's the funny thing. It's the right answer.
Right.
What I'm most grateful for is the wisdom I gained from experiencing life to its fullest. Yeah. Okay. Next question. What do you most value in a friendship? And what does friendship mean to you?
I'd say the two things that value the most to me in a friendship is honesty and communication.
That things are ST clear.
Yep. In the sense of like, I need to know where I stand with you at all times. Even if we're not in the best place, just to know that, hey, we've still got each other. Like if things are going down with you personally or me personally, no matter how we feel about each other in that moment, you've got my back and I've got yours.
Mm.
Like when I consider you a friend, where it's like you don't question my allegiance, I don't question yours, no matter what's going down in life. And I think like honesty too, because in the sense of like I don't like it when people sugarcoat with me. All my friends know that about me. I will say the truth. If you want an honest opinion, you ask me.
Mm.
If you want something a bit more watered down, I'll try. But if you really, really, really want to water it down, I recommend you ask somebody else, just because I don't want to say something that unintentionally hurts you.
Gotcha.
But I think it's like a friend. I think somebody that like kind of helps me put on the brakes a bit.
Mm.
I think somebody that is very open and non-judgmental, that kind of takes me as I am,
Mm-hmm.
and that isn't, not to say unintimidated by me, but somebody that understands that that shut outward aggression, that there's somebody very soft internally, that
Mm-hmm.
it's like that hardness is coming from a place of like I feel very soft on the inside, or to kind of like don't take my intensity negatively,
Mm.
of being like this is just who I am, like this isn't a facade, this isn't a bravado, this isn't like me trying to ham up to anything, like just I think a friend is somebody that can take you as you are, flaws and all. And like not necessarily in the sense that they don't try to make you a better person, because I'd want a friend to call me out on things, but they don't try to change who you are as a person, not necessarily how you do things, but who you are.
Yeah.
Or it's like I'd want a friend to kind of be like, hey, I think you need to improve the NF here, or hey, here's a way I can notice you how to improve the NF, without telling me stop being ST, don't be a blockhead.
Yeah. Hmm.
Or something that can make me laugh. You have me if you make me laugh. And like the really obnoxious laugh, not the giggle.
I need you
If you
rolling on
send
the
me a
floor.
gif of people slipping and falling, but sometimes I watch videos of people falling on ice for half an hour. Just because it's funny to see them kind of flail around.
Jimmy's hemorrhaging from the back of his skull. Why are you laughing?
Right?
You
Right.
monster. Kim, what the fuck? You're evil. You know that, right?
Right.
You're evil.
I know.
Oh,
It's in
I
my
hate
code.
you. My code is evil.
I can't be.
I'm sick of you.
It's in my code to be a little mischievous. That's just. It's just.
So
I
I'm just
can't help it.
very evil.
I
You're a little
can't.
mischievous, and I'm just really that checks out.
I can't not be a little bit of a provoker, a little bit. Like it's just there's just no way.
Okay.
I guess a friend is like, I think of like when you're like a friend, it's like, oh yeah, that's a ride or die. Like, oh, if someone because the thing is, it's like, even because if there's a partner that's introduced into the friend group, or like a partner of a friend that I already don't know, it's kind of like if I don't like you personally, I'll at least respect you as long as you treat my friend well. The second I find out you disrespect my friend or hurt my friend, I'm taking names, I'm taking addresses, and you're hearing it from me.
I've felt that intensity very rarely, but I have felt that intensity. It's kind of scary because your brain goes a little psycho.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like when I'm friends with you, it's like I feel very protective. And it's like as a friend, like when you're my friend, it's like, yes, kind of like keep me from getting in a fight with somebody, but don't stop my protectiveness. Because it's like when I get frustrated or annoyed or agitated or angry at you, that means I care about you enough to feel something for you.
Mm-hmm.
I've always told people that you should fear my silence more than my rage, because my silence means I don't care about you anymore.
Oof.
That's when you've been iced.
Iced. You're sleeping with the fishes now.
Right? No. It's too good for the fish.
Oh yeah.
No, you're
Yeah,
sleeping in like whatever ocean hell has, that's where you're going. Like if
I want you slow roasted with the fishes that I caught.
right, right.
Yeah.
Now I'm feeding you to the sharks.
Feeding you to the sharks, one piece at a time.
But I'd feed you to a nurse shark because they make really interesting noises when they eat.
What
It
noise
sounds
do
like a
they make?
vacuum because I've fed some in the Bahamas and they make vacuum noises when they eat. They go.
Okay. The kinesthetic STO and all. It's amazing. Oh.
And if anyone wanted to know what ST and kinesthetic is like, there you go.
There you go.
Because I saw the class on the kinesthetic INFP who was in the Terminator movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh my! That video was so like, yeah, that's us. It's like, oh yeah, he does like this, and they're not even asking the guy like, hey, is it okay if I like grab you? Like, no, I have to grab you, and like we're doing this gesture, and then we go, oh, like we're going over here, like, oh, right? But it's not like real snaky either. Like it's super blocky.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it makes me great that like when it's like I let you in, it's kind of like you mean everything to me. Like it's like when I consider you a friend, it's like you got me for life, unless you really do something egregious.
Sorry,
And like, no, you're fine. I like
I'm resonating. It's hitting me. So I don't want to resonate right now. I don't want to go along with it. But keep
you
going.
don't have to.
Keep going.
But you kind of have to.
Yeah, I'm here. That's what my job is. So. Keep going. Keep going.
I like. Okay, so really funny story how I met my best friend since kindergarten, and we're still friends to this day. Was this is so double masculine? So I was at the bus stop way before her. She was like the second or third, the last bus stop before we got to our elementary school. And I remember seeing her on the bus. I didn't whisper to her like, "Oh, sit here, like please sit with me," walking by. No. I started slamming the bus seat down and being, sit here, sit here, sit here, sit here. Like, moving my entire body. And I was like, hi, my name's Kim. Like, hi, my name's Kim. What's your name? Just slamming down the bus seat. Like, super aggressive. And then in preschool, I used to chase these two kids around in preschool just every day for no reason.
I used to chase people too.
I used to chase these two kids in preschool all the time. Just for no reason.
I wonder if they were double feminines. I'm just like,
I don't know.
I'll get you. And then
no, they never tried to chase me. I'd always try to chase them.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, what is it with that?
Or just like I'd constantly like my grandparents remember me because I used to go to Sunday school, and my grandparents remember me walking in a room with 30 people and being like, "Hi, my name's Kim. Nice to meet all of you."
Those are the funnest kids when they're not shy and they're just like walk up to all the old people like, "Hi, how's it going?" Zero fear.
Oh my god! And then also in kindergarten,
my name's John.
And then also in kindergarten, I didn't remember this. One of my friends remembered this. I did not. I was so sleep last. I did not nap during nap time. So me and another kid would pretend to fall asleep, but not actually fall asleep during nap time, except I would always get caught because I'd be giggling.
Of course.
And the teacher would tell me at least 5 times, hey, you got to stop giggling because it's quiet time or nap time. And I'd pretend to fall asleep and yeah. So like, I'm so funny. Like, no one's caught me. Like, I'm sleeping. Like, look at me. I'm sleeping.
Sure, I am. Sure. If the rest of the tribe's doing it, I'll act like it too. Not that I
It was
can
just me and
actually-
one other person though. Like the rest of the tribe was like actually taking a nap, and then I'm like, you know what I'm gonna do? Like I'm not gonna nap because I don't feel tired. So why would I do something when I'm just not feeling it?
Mhm.
Except I got caught because I'd be laughing. It was so bad. It's so bad. Like I can't. I always have to giggle when I'm really uncomfortable with something. I have to giggle. Like I remember I went to Florida last summer,
Mhm.
and we went. There's the specific day at Disney World. We went on Rise of the Resistance, and it got to a part of the ride where people were dressed up as like First Order guards,
Mhm.
and we were all in a line, and I just started giggling, and one of them walked up to me and was like, "What's so funny?" I'm like, it's just a great day. He's like, I'm like, it's just kind of amusing. He's like, you find getting captured amusing? Like, yeah, like I was just, going about my day. And it's like, you don't plan to get captured or whatnot. And he's like, something about me being suspicious or something.
They're perplexed.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Hmm. Speaking of giggling, well, I do have to say I do have like still the same issue of just like I've gotten better at like being able to hold in my laughs like at work or like my like sadness, like just like don't make noises, but you're still but yeah. Okay, speaking of laughter, speaking of jokes, next question. Kim, what, if anything, is too serious to be joked about?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nope. I'm somebody that is just like a no hold bar, or if like I can joke about anything, because with most things I would rather laugh about it than cry about it. So I can take things that are like personally in my life that are like traumatic, and I would rather make a joke, or I sometimes I use memes to cope through things. So I'm like, hey, funny meme, like, like have a happy, stable week, or draw 25. Like, oh, there's me. I have to pick up 25 because my week sucks. Like,
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of varied answers, but most people are saying that there's nothing too serious to be joked about. Which the guy gave the answer of it is true. It's the answer of too soon. Too soon. There's a too soon, but like I am seeing it more play out where it is yeah, like, and I've just been processing all that stuff. The jokes. What could we not joke about? But like I've said before, it's the jokes are very healing. The jokes are
oh, it's
very
so
healing.
bad. Like you get me on a pun train. And I remember, like, when you were asking me if you wanted to interview me, you started with one pun. I'm like, oh yeah, I can just 1, 2, 3, 4.
Wait. What did I say? What fun? You are way more punny than me. I can't pun as much as you. Maybe it's because I don't care. Maybe it's because I got censored at the bottom. I don't know. ENFP's supposed to be good at this stuff. I'm just like,
Right? We're
you're
just like, oh,
pun,
we're going.
pun.
You're like, whoa.
Yeah, I'm
Rolodex.
scrolling back. Oh my gosh. Oh fuck.
I just found it really funny. We were like, oh, I tell a lot of jokes and puns. I'm like, oh, you do? Where it's like, I remember you and I were joking once where it's like, how to spot a delta. And it's like, oh, yeah, you tell a joke in the audience and you'll hear a couple laughs. Like, hi. You're like, oh, yeah, I got it.
Got him. That one person laughing at my joke. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's a delta.
Easy. This is how we're gonna type. Say bad jokes, and the deltas respond.
Yeah, the deltas. Yeah, everyone else is just giving you a blank face, and the deltas the ones laughing.
I've gotten that. Just
Where it's like, oh, where it's like sometimes there's like you've unintentionally, where you weren't trying to make a joke, but I would read it as a joke, and then I'd make something back at you, and you're like, oh my goodness. And then I'd say like a joke or a pun right back, and you're like, oh my goodness, I didn't even pick up on that. Like,
yeah.
It's so dumb. My humor is one word for my humor, stupid. Stupid. My humor is so dumb.
I don't know. I find you quite endearing, Kim.
Thank you so much.
Like it's the first interview where I've been smiling so much my face hurts. So
Oh,
Kim,
I'm glad.
stop hurting me, please.
Well, I'm masculine, lead masculine to E, so it has to hurt a little bit.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
I have to cause some pain.
Of course. Sugar and spice and everything nice. Everything nice. Oh.
Oh my god. Yeah. As soon as I felt so happy that you asked me. I'm like, you're asking me to come on? Like, that's so exciting. Like even though it's more of like a, figuring out like where I lean more to or for, like in terms of like, because there's no way I'm just like not demon friends. Like there's just no way I'm demon friends.
Well, okay. Here's what I think I noticed with the twos sometimes, and I'll have to double check this. But it seems like the twos have the drive, but they're like, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing better than you. They're like, great. They're kind of like, great, good job.
Right.
Like, that's not how you were supposed to respond. You were supposed to get mad at me.
Right. We're like, oh, I'm so happy for you. Like, congratulations.
Congratulations. I'm like, oh, that's heartwarming.
Like, you're doing your job. Congratulate. Like, it's kind of like I don't care if you're higher than me. Like, are you doing your job?
Yeah, that seems like what's with the twos is they don't care if someone's higher than them. But they do want to do the job and the ownership.
Have you earned being above me? And if you're not doing your job, then I get annoyed because it's kind of like you're higher up than me, and yet you don't work as much as I am. You don't put in as much as me. You're not on your feet as much as me. I've clocked more hours than you. I take on more than you. And my pay's still lower. What? And then if you're higher up than me, then I do see you like making an effort. It's like, okay, yeah, you're hustling.
Well,
like, oh yeah, I got a bonus. Like, great. Like, I'm so happy for you because you've earned it.
No, if it's me, they got a bonus and not me. I better have got a bigger bonus than them. Like, that's my knee-jerk reaction a lot of the time. It's just like, someone's doing better than me. I'm behind.
I'd feel a pang, and then I would ask like whoever was in charge of like, okay, like what can I do to earn the next time? What was I slacking on? Is there anything I could have done to improve my performance? Was there a specific area that I need to like? And then I would dedicate, and then I'd ask somebody who strongest suit was that. Okay, how did you build that up? How did you become good at this? What are some things that I need to improve on for this? Or, okay, I feel a little rusty here. What are some tips for that? So then I can work on improving that because it's like, okay, you're maintaining like, hey, look, I got my bonus, but I also got my bonus. So we can be friends because we're both contributing. We're friends because we're both equally contributing in some way.
Well, that's what was funny I was talking to someone who had a YouTube channel in the community, and I was like, I'm going to surpass your most viewed video pretty soon. They're like, great. I hope you do. I was like, excuse me? They're like, and then I was like, you're not. They're like, yeah. If you surpass me, you put a lot more work into your channel than I have. I'm like, oh, okay. It doesn't feel like I put more work in. But.
If it makes sense for you to be above, we're not going to clock you.
Okay.
Like, okay, yeah, you're putting in the hours. You're cranking out multiple videos. You're getting different perspectives. So if you're having a higher algorithm, that adds up. If you're putting out like one video every 6 months and you're like, I have the best channel, I'm like, where have you been the last 6 months? Like,
I have seen ones just like pull that shit.
I'm like, with what merit?
It's hard because I had like my whole life I wasn't cranking. I was like, it's so like I'm looking at you. I'm like, okay, you got like the blast play. So like you were always like, and they even said that about like the one that who's lead SE. They're like, oh, she's SE. She's in the real world. She's actually getting stuff done younger. Like that tracks. I'm like, oh shit. For so long I was just in my head, going like doing nothing, but then going, I'm the best. I'll be the greatest ever. I'm like. Oh, that's like I was like, oh, that I wasted so much time doing that. That I hope to be a much more extroverted person now. Like I'm like, my duty is to be an extrovert. That's like what it feels like. My duty is to be more extroverted now for the sake of my introverted world. But like,
Right.
I have to like, oh, you don't want to do that? Doesn't matter. You don't got the energy? Doesn't matter. Like, you'll get your 15-minute in if you have to take a nap, but like, you're gonna do it. Yeah.
Right. I have like the inverse of you where it's like I've kind of had to learn how to be more introverted, where I've kind of had to learn to say, hey, I'm not in the mood for a phone call today because I've overworked myself, or hey, I can talk to you, but it can only be for a shorter period of time, or okay, I need a day off here just because I need, like, oh hey, I can't work 6 days straight, or like I need a break day here. Or it's like, hey, I can work these days, but I can only do like especially because this is my first week back of being a manager in nearly a year.
Mm-hmm.
Like because I've worked, so I'm working, like worked yesterday and I work up until Wednesday because I'm leaving for a bachelorette party Thursday through Saturday, and then I'm working 4 days straight immediately after like a 4-day vacation. So just working on it. But this week I'm working 2 days that are 6 hours and 2 days that are 8. So I have the 8 days in the middle to kind of wean a bit. Okay, so I'll open Wednesday so I don't work too late Wednesday night, so I leave early Thursday morning for my flight, so I'm not killing myself in that way.
Yeah.
So I've kind of had to learn how to, put the brakes on myself of kind of being like, you gotta own, like, no, this is your mope mode. You gotta mope here. You're expecting, because you don't
Yeah,
want,
you
because it's
can't.
like,
You can put in breaks and say, I actually know I can't handle that.
right.
Or like, it's rules for self, but it's like I've done the same stuff. Where I'm like, yeah, I probably can't handle doing it. Like, you want to schedule this to be back to back. I was just like, yeah, probably can't. Probably need
Right.
to process that. Probably need to give myself some more space. But yeah, no, like that's really good that you're doing that. Like that you're catching that at your age. At your age, that's pretty good.
And
So
in my head, it's like I don't feel like I've made enough progress though. Like in my mind, I'm like, oh, I should be way ahead. Like, oh, I need to be more. Or it's like, especially because it's like I'm still in school when there's people my age who are like working on their post grad degree or who have graduated college, or kind of in my head where I can sometimes I beat myself up temporarily. It's like I should be more ahead, but why did I have to figure out later with my career? And it's like Alan Rickman didn't figure out he was going to be an actor until his late 40s. This person didn't figure out what they were going to do
I
until they were 50,
know there are so many greats who are like, I
who are
started when I was
figuring out way
40.
later.
Oh my
So it's
god.
like, stop comparing yourself to the world's clock. You
Yeah.
are never late for yourself. You may be late to the world, but you are always on time for yourself. So kind of learning that it's like, yes, it may have taken you a bit longer than quote unquote usual to figure out where you're going,
Mm-hmm.
but you're on time for you.
Yeah.
You had to figure out what you wanted to do by figuring out what you didn't, and that's okay.
Yeah, that was kind of Dave's audio to me when it was basically just like, you got to go be an EP, you got to go travel the world or something. You got to burn out these possibilities. Um, but I do feel like I've burned out the NE at times. Like it feels like I've burned out the NE, and I'm like,
Right.
I still have the NE. The NE is still crazy. So it's just like, I'm just like, yeah, I'm sick of this.
Right.
I'm sick of this. Like, can I have some routine? Can I have some friends? Can I have some reliability in my life? Can I
Right.
work towards something slowly and
Mm.
consistently? It's so painful, but won't I be so much more? I'm much more satisfied and fulfilled now than when I was just in mope and NE imagination land
Mhm.
purely. I'm much more satisfied with productive creativity. Because I've even said this, I feel like, what is creativity? People go, intuition is creativity. It's like, is it? No, it's imagining, kind of.
Right.
But are you creating something if it's in your imagination? No, it requires
No, you're not.
both.
It's using both.
Requires creating thing. The thing is the sensory, the real what happened, not just your
Right.
imagination connections. So it's like you have to be the bridge between sensation and intuition if you are going to be creative.
That's why I like tabletop RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons, just
Mm-hmm.
because it's like it kind of has me creating both, where it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to like create this character, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to kind of ground it in the sense of, okay, like Like I love playing D&D just because it's like I get to take on something else or take on somebody else, and like that of it I love, but I also like the reaction from the players of kind of being like you really do become your character. And I like kind of stepping in the shoes
Uh,
of somebody else, so kind of being like, okay, I'm when I'm making this decision, it's I can't just think what I would do. I have to think, oh, what would this person do? So I'm one campaign, I'm playing an Oni barbarian, like a Japanese
mhm.
devil who's a barbarian.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, you see two enemies, one on the roof and one on the ground. Logic is telling me I would go for the one hiding behind the lamp. Nope, my character wanted to climb the roof. And I rolled the best roll that you can get, which is a natural 20. So a critical success. So I grapple the guy insanely. And I'm very buff and stocky too. But I did not take into account the weight of the roof because my character has mid to low intelligence. So I ended up falling for the roof and startling an elderly couple.
Well, that makes it more fun. You know, it would have been boring if everything went right, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah. I love because it's kind of like I like kind of creating leaving a mark on the world in that sort of sense of kind of like I love making characters, like I love kind of weaving a story of kind of being like and also I like creating little Easter eggs in my characters too of being like if you play this specific game or if you know the lore of this, you're gonna know where my character's name comes from and you're gonna know what it means. You're gonna know why I made that name choice in the first place.
Oh, okay.
Which is I like dropping little Easter egg hunts, and I like the plot twist at the end, or like trying to figure out like okay what is this like it was really funny because I played one Star Wars D&D campaign
Mhm.
and someone named a robot TPK5 and I'm like I whispered to the DM I'm like does that mean total party kill and there's 5 members at the table. And at the end of the session, he's like, "You picked up on that within 0.5 seconds." He's like, "You're the only one who caught that, and I knew you would catch. Like, I put that in there because I knew you would catch it." I'm like, "Are you trying to say we're all gonna die? Is that what you're trying to tell us?"
Suspense.
Right?
Suspense. You know, my the books I'm working on, they started as D&D characters.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's really you write books?
I've been working on it. I've been working
That's
on it a little bit.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
really funny you mentioned that because like one of my friends writes a lot, and I edit his stuff. I've edited his work for almost 10 years.
Hmm.
And I love reading what they have. I love reading people's works. I love editing people's works because kind of like, okay, what you have is great. How can I make it better? How can I help you make it better? How can I make this the best version of it of what it's trying to be? So I will take notes, physically circle things, and be like, you need to break that up. A sentence thing is that wording's kind of clunky, but I like what you have to say. You need a comma to break here. Okay, what are you trying to say here? What does this word mean? Because your audience isn't going to understand what you're trying to tell them. Why is this significant? Why is this piece significant? What is this alluding to? Like I like asking. I like when a story or a work has me ask more questions than answers. I don't like reading something and I don't ask anything.
Yeah.
I like having questions to, what's the point of this? Like where I like if a work doesn't leave me guessing, it's not interesting to me.
Hmm.
I like being caught off guard and surprised.
Hmm.
But not to the point where you make that twist unrealistic of being because I like surprise twists where it's like you read something a second time and it's like, oh, I see the point here. I see the crumbs here. So it's
Hmm.
like if you're really paying attention the first time, it's like you can kind of see the layout. But I don't like it where there's a twist and there's like no conceivable way that ever could have happened.
Yeah, yeah, it's silly. I hate that stuff. I hate bad storytelling. But yeah, my what I'm working on is that's my dream to be the next token. If you know about
Mm,
it. The next evolution of art itself.
that'd be really fun.
It would be fun, and I want to put OP stuff in it.
Oh, that'd be fun. I love to be
So,
like, that's a blaster.
well, maybe not. Well, I don't know. We'll see.
maybe not a blaster.
Just stereotypical blaster.
Right. No,
Look,
it's
it's the douchebag.
what I'd love to see at some point. I don't know if this will
Mhm.
ever happen, but I'd love to see a Jurassic Park recreation of the first movie, but John Hammond as he was in the books. Because if you only see him in the movies, you think he's not that bad of a guy. If you read the books, or like if you see John Hammond in the movies,
Who's
it's
John
like
Hammond again?
He's like the scientist, like the one who created Jurassic Park in the first, like the
Is he the guy in the
grandfather.
white? Is he
Yes, the
is he the
guy with
white?
like the cane and the glasses
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
hat
yeah.
and and the white shirt. Him in the books, level 5 dickhead. Like,
Colonel Sanders.
yes, but he's like evil Colonel Sanders. Like,
Of course.
doesn't care. Like I was like, when I read the book and saw the movie, I'm like, how are these two the same? Like, I would love to see, like, make him evil.
Mhm.
I'd love to see him evil. I'm
What does he do that's so evil?
like knowingly puts everybody at risk, like
Hey,
grandchildren to the
you're
island,
choppy.
knowing they could
You were
die,
choppy first.
and like
What?
doesn't care about his family.
Doesn't care about
Oh,
his
I'm
family.
so sorry. Did something cut out?
You were choppy for a second, but
Oh,
I could intuit what you were saying. Oh,
yeah, kind of like very negligent of what was happening on the island. Wouldn't care if his grandkids were die on the island. Only brought the lawyer so they would have people off the case, like not really caring. And like, yeah, just like
mhm.
evil
Okay.
in that type of sense.
Yeah.
Like, very selfish.
Very selfish.
Like,
Di consume
but
asshole.
like selfish to the point of like you're knowingly
Comically
doing
evil.
something that will kill people.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess the movie kind of focused on the man versus nature aspect of it.
Right.
I guess. I mean, even the big bad dinosaur gets taken down by other dinosaurs.
I'm like, no, evil. Like,
Pete,
why
you're
make
like,
it like
Decider, people evil. What? Why did you leave that out? Like,
yes,
Observer, I
yes.
made a movie about dinosaurs.
But it's like I want to see him like accurately portrayed of like why water him down? Like make if in the books it's like if he's that terrible, like make him evil.
But what if
Make
the
him evil.
Observer director was like, this is not realistic. A guy wouldn't be
Right.
that bad. I
Right.
shouldn't be mad at him. This is just a Decider subconsciously.
Yeah,
making him a
endangering the
bad
welfare
guy.
of your children. Not that bad. Velociraptor or endangering like not that bad of a guy. I mean, he created Velociraptors, which is like how
Like, chef's
Velociraptors
kiss.
exist again. Like great
Worth
guy. Like
it.
yeah, dead grandchildren and Velociraptors. #, worth it.
Did he have a reason to sacrifice his grandchildren in the books, though, or was he just doing it for funsies? Is he doing it negligently? Because that doesn't sound like a normal human.
I think kind of funsies.
That doesn't sound like a normal person.
No, nope.
That sounds like Decider projection.
Yeah, a little bit. But I'd like to take if I were to have a dinosaur, I'd love to have an Ankylosaurus. It's the one with like the spiky tail and like the one with a bunch of spikes on it. I'd love one of those. So I could
Is
just
it on 2 legs or is
4
it on
legs, quadrupedal,
4? Oh,
herbivore.
and it has the spikes on the side and like the I
Yep,
know.
bunch of spikes everywhere. And I'd love to just like if someone bothers me, you use your tail, whack them.
Whack 'em.
People are baseballs, you hit them.
I'm just imagining the blood and gore. God.
It's a fun time.
One time. Oh my goodness. Love it. All right. Okay. Kim, we're approaching the 2-hour mark.
Oh,
Good.
that's fine. I can keep going. I'm not
I
tired.
know, but
I know. For you.
it's been good.
I know my interviews with me, it's like I know there needs to be a time limit, but not for me. It's for the other person.
For the well, it helps that you're tired.
It's the meme where it's like call the police, but not for me, or call the ambulance, but not for me. Yeah. It's like that, but call the time limit, but not for me. I'm why there's maximums on things. I'm not why there's minimums. I'm why there's maximums.
Okay. Okay, Kim. Last question.
Okay.
I mean, all that came from what cannot be joked about, but whatever. It's fun. I allow these digressions because they're just fun. We're just podcasting. We're just whatever you think. Whatever.
I'm like so different when I'm in blast mode versus not blast mode.
What do you mean?
Like the amount of times I've channel changed in here where it's like, oh yeah, Nurse Shark vacuum noise. it's a question about like friendship, and I'm like, nurse
Like,
sharks.
I kill my enemies, nurse sharks, because they make funny noises. Exactly. Exactly. Okay. Last question though.
Yes.
Straight. We are masculine FI.
Yep.
We are not holding back tears and laughter.
Yep.
Our emotions are not movable.
Okay.
How, Kim, do you cope with the fact that you will one day die?
I actually took a few minutes to, not right before this, but like a few days ago, I took a few minutes to write down, and it's, I don't cope with the fact of how I'm going to die. I cope with the fact of how I'm living.
Okay.
Am I living my fullest life? Because if I can say I've lived my life on my terms, the way in which I want, I don't care how I die. I can, it's funny because if I were to die, right, I'd love to come back either as a ghost that haunts middle schoolers,
Okay.
or I would love to be like an angel of vengeance, and like punishing the wicked. Like, I'm just like, oh, you were a dick in real life. Like, knock knock, here's me.
Your friendly neighborhood reaper of death, Kim.
Right. Right. Oh, you thought you were getting like a bouquet of flowers, you're getting a scythe to the throat instead. Like, but yeah, I don't think about, how like me dying one day. That just like doesn't cross my head. It's like, okay, if I were to die right now, can I sit here and say that I lived the best life I could have? And if the answer is yes, there's nothing to cope with.
Yeah.
It's more so I'm not coping with how I die. I'm coping with I didn't live enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's the one thing I don't want to go away from the world. Being like, oh, I could have done this. Oh, I wanted to do this, but I never did. Oh, I should have tried this out, but I never did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to live somebody else's life. I want to live mine.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. I don't want to live someone else's life. I want to live mine. Is that? Do you feel like there is a push pull with that as an EJ, where it's pretty intense, where you've tried to live someone else's life, or live for someone else?
Not often.
Mm-hmm.
It's more so. It's like, again, back to the achievements of, am I doing enough to warrant? Am I good enough for you because I've done enough achievement? Not necessarily. Am I enough for you because I'm living life the way you want me to?
Okay.
It's more so, am I making you proud? Are you proud of me? If you're proud of me, we're good.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't like the way I live my life, I don't care. I'm going to live it my way still. If you're not proud of a decision, I can live with it. If you're not proud of who I am at the core, that hurts.
Oh, jeez. No, because I feel it. I do. I feel it because I'm like, how often, except for me, I was in Mope and I was like, you don't see me. And it's like, everyone's like, you ain't doing jack shit. But not that this is being said, but like this is like the expectation I'm projecting out into the world.
Right.
And then not living up to it for so long, and I'm like, well, now I'm pulling away from my family, and most of my family's proud of me. Most of my family. Scared my mother to death though. I'm just like, Mom, I literally got turned around and went, Mom, I will not live in fear like you. Like you are now.
Right.
Live in fear.
Right.
So I live in fear. I will not live my life to the fullest, and I will live full of regrets.
Right.
So stop projecting on me that you're
Right.
so afraid and you want security. I don't want that. I don't care.
Right.
So, But everyone else in the family is very positive and supportive, and my family's been very positive and supportive about my growth and my decisions and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's good.
Even if it's like, even if, for me, it's like, I don't care whether or not I personally agree with, like, I may not want to go in the same direction as you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going in a direction that's true to who you are,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. You're growing.
Yeah.
You're not just complaining about being stuck and doing nothing about it.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to watch someone who is there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's so hard because it's like I have 50 solutions, like right.
And you won't listen.
Yeah.
You wouldn't
Yeah.
listen.
That's something that's been one of the hardest lessons for me that I have learned was you can't help everyone. Not the sense that you can save everyone. You can't help anyone. Because I know the only person you can save is yourself. But it was so hard for me to be like, there's really nothing I could have done here.
Yeah.
Because it's like, because in my mind it's like, oh yeah, I can always do more. Because it's like it's like when it's like, oh yeah, but like I'm responsible to help you. Like, oh, I can, like, you're like, the thing is like, if you've got, I've got, it's like, if you've got it, like, oh, I've got it too. Like it's just you know, the difficulty and like, oh yeah, you can't help everyone is like one of the hardest lessons that it's there's still days where it's very hard for me, except I'm like, oh, you know, I could have done that.
Mm-hmm.
I should have done this more. Like, oh, I didn't give enough here. And it's like, would you really be telling that to, like, how I know I'm being irrational is, okay, imagine you're talking to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Would you tell them what you're telling yourself? And if the answer is no, then throw it out for you. Because if you wouldn't say it to somebody else, you shouldn't say it to yourself. If the answer is yes, then reevaluate and make a plan after that of, okay, what can I learn from that? If it's something that you would tell somebody else, apply it to yourself. If it's something you would not say to somebody else, drop it for yourself, because you're putting your, like, have the same standards for yourself as somebody else.
That's really good you're saying that, because that's supposed to be, well, you know, who knows how we are in the moment, but like that is the problem with the deciders.
Oh yeah.
But that's good that you're processing that, recognizing that, saying that, espousing it, and putting it on yourself, because you're saying it out loud now. You're accountable to it as well.
Yeah, and it would help. It helps me having other people be like, okay, I noticed you improve here, or hey, I'm noticing you kind of getting stuck here. Like, oh yeah, you're okay. Yeah, I need to be responsible for myself.
Yeah. Well, the point I like want to make to people is like, you, when I say like you can save yourself, or like when I'm like trying to espouse that message, like you can save yourself, it's like I cannot go into your head and change you for you.
Right.
And if I did, that would be a very evil power.
Because it wouldn't be authentic anyway. Yes, you'd be helped, but you wouldn't learn anything from it if I made you do it for you.
The Faustian bargain, be wisdom not earned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas like everything I want to do in my life, it better be earned. Usually I don't learn the easy way. I rarely ever learn easy.
Yeah.
So, you know,
That's
you have to
what
learn.
my family says about me. You never listen to us.
Yeah, my
You
family says the
never
same thing
listen.
about me. I have to
You
learn how
never
hot something. I have to learn not to touch the stove by holding my hand on it for 20 seconds. And then we'll register when half my hand is gone. Oh, that might have been too hot.
Oh, Kim. Stop burning your hand. Can you show the crowd your hands? Are your hands burnt off?
See,
Oh, they're not burnt. Okay. Just imagine
I'm
black.
a cyborg. Remember, I can just have, you know, like it's kind of like with Luke Skywalker, Luke and Anakin
Yeah.
Skywalker. You know, it's a.
Stop bullshitting me, Kim. You
Who
can't
says
trick
there's
me.
not
You can't trick me
Mal?
in the sensory. I know the sensory. You're lying.
Luke and Anakin both lost a hand.
That was in a galaxy a long, far away, long time ago.
Far,
Okay.
far away.
Far, far away. Far, not here. That technology is not here. I know better. Can't trick me.
That's fair.
Okay, Kim. This has been a lovely interview. Wow. The interviews are now going to 2 hours. It's been great talking to you.
Oh yeah, it's been fun.
It's been fun. It
Like, I'm
certainly has been.
curious where, because 2 was originally a question mark for you.
Oh no, I'll give you 2. I mean, like for so like I've said before, I was testing out the social order stuff before it was like publicly known. I was like, okay, I know the prototype of it. I was
Right.
telling people, I was talking to people privately, trying to see how they'd react to it, seeing what I would judge them as, and then what they'd judge themselves. And it is kind of like Dave says, where, and my theory was like, because it is social, it would be consciously ingrained in us. Like you'd be able to go like, yeah, I'm in the middle. Yeah, or yeah, I see myself at the top, and I get like, when I was told about this stuff, someone was telling me, "Oh, we're twos, we're twos, we're twos," and I was like, "No, I'm a 1, and
Right.
I'm gonna burn out and die, and I'm afraid of that.
Right.
Like this is gonna kill me. Like that's I literally like started like I was like I feel the incredible weight of I realize I'm a 1 as you're telling me this, and I was like, yeah, I'm a
Yeah,
1.
I felt the same thing in the Google video. I'm like, why am I just feeling just so repulsed that I did not feel the same repulsion with any other video? And then people have been like, 2, 2, 2. And I'm like, when I'm describing things, they're like, yeah, that doesn't sound like 4. Like,
Yeah,
that sounds like 2. And I'm like, oh, no. Like especially because it feels very incongruent, right? For me being lead masculine blast and being a social consume.
yeah,
But I think what helps is because I'm info dominant, so it's kind of like I'm already a bit more balanced with the blast and consume. But if I'm lead masculine blast and a social consume, I feel like it just amplifies the play that much more because there's just nothing keeping that in check.
because the sleep gives you direction, holds you back. I don't know.
Yeah, just because it's like I have. So it's like I don't know if I was gonna describe it. If like yeah, because it's like social consume, so it's like I just feel like, yeah, I wouldn't have a lot. No, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It's just like I have a hard time with like self direction. So like I've already told you this nickname. I've told a few people it. So you know how like Dave and Shan have certain diseases for things like bird chirping disease is known
Yeah,
for
yeah,
them being consumed with blast lats. So the disease I've nicknamed for twos is called headless chicken syndrome.
yeah,
And so, what does a headless chicken do? Run, 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 boink. Oh, I hit a table. Run, 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 boink. I bumped into somebody that I shouldn't probably bumped into. Boink. Oh, I'm going over here. And it's somebody that's just, let me take this on. 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 Oh, yeah, because we're all friends, because we're all like working together and we're all accomplishing different, and it's not paying attention. Number one, who am I even collaborating with? Do we even have the same vision? Are we even going do we have the same end goal? Also, what do I want in all this? What's my stake in all this? What am I prioritizing? What am I narrowing down? That's a headless chicken.
mm-hmm.
Just taking things on and like when they were describing for like I feel like I think every video except 4 had something that's like put my name on it. What I see the twos and putting their name on it, it's not because they've spent 10 years specializing in it. It's not because they believe it's greater than sliced bread.
Mm-hmm.
When a 2 says my name is on it, they're trying to tell you this is how much ownership I have in this. This
Mm-hmm.
is how much of a stake I have in this. And so you'll see me constantly being like, "Oh, I have my name in here. I have my name in here," because I want to show you just how much leverage I have in situations of being like, this is how much I own. This is how much I have power in. At least for me personally, it's kind of like when I say I put my name on it, it's I have my name here, 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 I have my name here. So
Mm-hmm.
there's varying degrees in which I touch something, but I've made sure I've touched everything. I've had my hands in every cookie jar.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not paying attention to am I allergic to that type of cookie? There we go. There's the 2 problem.
It does seem like that. It does seem like a lack of work-life balance. One thing you probably haven't processed, but I was processing it with someone else, and I hope I can get them on one day. But it was like there's a lot of talk about social types and relationships, Have you processed any of that?
Kind of. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
seems like people of the same social type don't want to get together like that much sometimes. But maybe it's just like how we are, and maybe it's just how the community is, where it's just
Trying to
like,
think. I don't think I've ever dated a 2. No, I don't think I've ever been with a 2. I
and you
feel
know,
like I've been with 3s and 1s. Maybe a 4, maybe a couple 4s, but mainly 3s and 1s.
and I was talking to a four who was like, they were saying I'm a four, they were saying they were a four, and they were just like, I can't see the point in like my social role is to be a four. If we're both doing that, what's the point?
Right.
Um, not that I'm saying it can't work, but I'm like, I feel kind of like a repulsion to like other ones, and I have one relationship where I wonder if we were both ones, and she was lovely, but like when it came to like my dream versus her dream, she was like, "Oh, I believe in your dream. I believe in your dream." Blah blah blah. And then I would just be like, her life's falling apart. She's getting in fights with all her friends, even though she's so nice. And it's all over her dog. It's like I'm like, and we were like, oh, like my dream and my dream and my dream, and I believe in your dream, and I'll support your dreams, and our dreams kind of align because you're in movies, and I'm gonna make this stuff, and like we'll work together one day. And it was like you're having, and then she's like I'm having trouble writing. She's like, you should give it up. I'm like, I guess it's over. Like
Right.
it was like that quick.
Hmm.
Um, but it'd be very hard for two ones to like line up. Like it could happen. So like the example is Alex Hermosi and Layla Hermosi,
Hmm.
whereas like they got together because of business, and they literally said their relationship was completely depolarized.
Hmm.
Completely depolarized, where it was like we worked together so well, but there was no love or relationship. We literally got married as he literally brags about this as a business thing. It was all a business choice.
It's in business negotiations.
The
We have
biggest
a
business
contract.
we have well, it's like it's not. I bet they were attracted to each other and stuff, but it's like they kind of realized there was no love between them, and they had to work on that, and they were able to work on that.
Right.
Apparently. But I'm like, I bet there is a natural attraction of the 1 to the 4 and the 4 to the 1 and the 2 to the 3 and the 3 to the 2. But I'm like, it kind of depends on what you want out of life.
Right.
So like, I kind of see the jump from 1 to 4 as a very big leap.
Right.
And I see like, the metaphor I'd use, it's because I'll be like, maybe I talk to a 2, and a 2 will be like, I can help you with that. I'm like, great. And I'll talk to a 4, and they're like, oh, that's a great dream. I'd love to see it come to fruition one day. Right? Like,
That's the difference.
Right?
That's the difference.
And the 2 can put themselves next to me, and the 4 kind of doesn't.
Yes. Yeah.
And if I was gonna be with a 4, I'd be like, it's like I'm the king with my kingdom. Either I'd have to have already got my kingdom, and now you're here to help maintain my friendships. I'd love that.
Right.
But if I was a king without a kingdom, and I'm like, I gotta go, and you're like, pull me down, like no 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 no
Right.
no 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 no. I can see that there's a tension there, like. So it's what you want out of life. Maybe you can work that out.
Right.
Everything is a trade-off. Everything is you have to do demon work to get along with your opposite and all this stuff.
Right.
But I just wonder, like, so if you've considered that. So it just seems like people are not interested in dating people of their own social type. But maybe that's just in their head.
I remember. I dated somebody who actually published a book,
Mm-hmm.
and I helped edit every chapter in that book. And
Mm-hmm.
instead of like, oh, you want to write a book? Can I read it? Can I read your chapter? Can I read what you wrote?
Mm-hmm.
You want me to edit your book? Sure, I'll edit that. Oh, you wrote me another short story. Here you go. Yeah, I'll edit that. We're still friends to this day, and every time he sends me a piece of work, I'm like, oh yeah, I can edit that.
Yeah.
I'll give you feedback on that. I really like it. Like, so it's kind of like, okay, like, I want to, it's not like, no, I don't want to hear about your dreams. I want you to write them and post them on a bulletin board so we can just check off, okay, you did this, you did that, you did this, you did that. I don't just want to hear about you doing them. I
Yeah.
want to ensure that they're done. So if I have to do them with you, I won't try to do it for you.
Yeah.
Like, just because I can't do it for you.
Yeah. No one can do it for me.
But it's kind of like a okay, like, I'll feel like I accomplished something if I work with you on that. Of kind of like, okay, you have a dream in here. How can we make that happen?
Yeah.
Like, what step can we
Quite
kind of take?
inspiring. It's quite inspiring. Yeah.
Yeah, at least with me, it's kind of like I couldn't picture myself with another two because one of us would need to have a head attached.
Yeah, that might be it.
Like, just like it's like, oh my god, like where are you going?
Well,
Like
I
with
think
two,
Alex Hermosi was able to. He really does have like the mindset for like, okay, yeah, the only way to get myself out of the hole. Oten was talking about this, like all his stuff had failed was to like specialize in what he was doing,
right?
maximize that. And his advice to other entrepreneurs is like, you have 15 side hustles, choose one.
Right.
I was like, wow, very interesting instincts and overcoming of those instincts. You ever like catch yourself overcoming your instincts?
Yeah. No, I've been told I have pretty good impulse control for the most part, and it's like even though internally it's like I need I like even though internally make like I want to clock them so bad, like I want to. I'm kind of like right, like it's like oh, I want to so bad, but it's kind of like no, like you reel it in for a second, or it's like okay, you were told like I know you're gonna feel like you want to just like jump in and help, but like let them do it on their own a few times, like watch them do something a few times, and then when you notice a recurring mistake, then you jump in. Let them learn first.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember I was actually giving one of my coworkers who recently started the job, I gave them some advice on things where it's like, hey, like I know like you're doing a great job. So I start off with a compliment instead of just like, hey, here's how you improve. I'm like, hey, like you're doing a great job and you've learned things very quickly. Here's how you could further help with that. Like here's how you can further improve on that. Like you're already doing a good, you already have a great foundation. You're very personable, very approachable. Like you're great behind the register. You're good at talking to people. Here's how you can further prove. Like here's how you can further push that. And here's some of the things I've done with the almost 2 years of experience that I have.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not talking out of my ass.
Hmm. Um. So now this is gonna. So it sounds like you were attracted to one, or you found yourselves in relationships with ones and
Ones and
threes.
threes, particularly.
Yeah. What did
I
it feel
almost
like
want to say
being
more so ones.
really? And what are those usually like for you? Because a one has to do a lot of work on their friends before like it's bad. I get it. It's bad. And it's like I've seen how it plays out.
The thing with ones is like it's like in the sense of how I viewed relationships with ones, it's like we're competing together.
Yeah.
That's always how I viewed it, as like I'm going to work on me with you next to me. You work on me with me next to you. And as long as we're both achieving and being the best of ourselves that we can be, this thing's going to run beautifully.
Yeah.
Because you won't need to step on me and I won't need to step on you.
Yeah.
And I know when you give me a piece of feedback, you're trying to help me become a better person. I trust your, even though it's like, I'm not scared of ones because of that. I don't know if it's because of how masculine of a person I am too. So I'm also very aggressive. So I understand that ones don't scare me. So it's kind of like, yeah, I can be in a ring with a one. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, like your need or your drive to be the best is like, that's coming from like, that's coming from a place of like, I feel like my achievements are what makes me valuable. Or it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I rob from friends just so I can be at the top, or it's like the need,
Yeah.
the fear of like being at the bottom. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that's coming from a real fear here. So it's like, even though sometimes it's like I know it can be harsh, it's like you have good intentions. So I trust what you're saying because you wouldn't be telling me you wouldn't be trying to become friends with me if you didn't have good intentions. So I trust that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you flex how good we are together, even better. Even better.
I feel that. I feel that I want to flex that stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna have the best relationship ever. Everyone out around me should be jealous.
I get that. I get that so bad. It's like, oh yeah, I want to be like I want to be the standard or a standard of some. I don't know what that is again because I don't have specialized, so it's like I don't know what the standard is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I better be something. And the thing with threes that I found also attracted me to threes was like you actually narrow down.
Yeah.
You're not a headless chicken. You're not taking on too much.
Mm-hmm.
And where I noticed the void with the threes, it's like the marketability or
What do
the
you mean
the networking.
they're bad at networking?
No, that's not so bad at networking, but it's almost like a how do I put myself out there? Because it's like the missing, like the demon friends and the demon responsibility of like, okay, how do I take on how do I juggle?
Mm. Okay. Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
that's kind of noticing that's I'm like, oh, like I don't know how to describe it with threes. I have a better idea of describing relationships with ones than I do threes.
You have, wait. Could you repeat that?
I don't know why I have an easier time describing like past relationships with ones than threes.
Hmm.
I think because with ones, it kind of it feels familiar enough where it's like okay, like it kind of feels like I'm with myself, but it feels different enough where I'm like okay, I'm not exactly with me. Like
Yeah.
ones feel like home to me in a weird way,
Hmm.
where it's like okay, like you're in a ring constantly fighting to be the best at something.
Yeah.
I'm constantly
There is a
feeling
camaraderie there. Yeah.
yeah, where it's like I'm constantly feeling the need to put my name on everything.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be the best at it, fine, let me help you make that happen. Not just telling you, oh yeah, like oh yeah, like I'm not watching in the stands being like, "Oh yeah, you're the best." No, I'm in the ring with you.
Well, that makes me think about it. Is are our relationships and everything more atomized now, where we actually have to just like pair off and be a couple now, where that makes more sense? Whereas, like, I imagine the king going on campaign and waging battles, and he was raised to be a warrior and the king and pressure his whole life.
Right.
And then he goes to his wife, and she's like, "Don't be so hard on yourself." And he's like, "Yes, but I must go slay the enemy kingdom now. But thank you."
Right. Whereas
Whereas
like
now it's like, okay, we have to be more autonomous or something. Maybe
whereas
there's
like
something with that.
whereas me in relationships as a queen where it's like, "No, I'm not sitting at home. If you're going to battle, I'm grabbing my swords and I'm going with you.
Yeah.
You're not fighting this by yourself. I wouldn't let you. Like this isn't just your problem, it's our problem."
That's really sweet.
Like it's kind of a sense of nope, I'm not staying at home. Nope, nope. This is not just your issue. Since you affect me and it affects you, therefore it affects me.
Yeah.
So it's like nope, nope. I'm responsible for this
Hmm.
because I see it getting in the way of you being your best self. So now I have a gripe with it.
God damn, so wholesome. So wholesome. No, that's all great stuff. Okay. I think we've should we keep going?
Yeah, yeah. If you want to, completely up to you.
Well, yeah, I hope people don't feel like we're shitting on the threes and fours.
No, never. No, never.
Because, like, I swear to God, I've learned so much. Like, literally, it's literally been those people turning around and going, like, here's a dose. Here's a dose of don't take yourself too seriously. I'm like,
Right,
holy fuck, I'm getting so much more progress after I stopped taking
right.
myself so seriously.
Like if I didn't have a four in my life, I wouldn't slow down ever. If I didn't have a four being like, hey, it's like let off it like you don't need to have a hand in every like, you don't need to put your name on everything
Yeah.
just to be good enough. You are good enough as you are. And it's like you need people like that. And I love threes because they help me keep my head attached. I need somebody around me who is, hey, you need to narrow down your focus a little bit. You need to become more disciplined. You need to learn how to advocate for yourself a bit better. You need to learn to say, like, I need help here. You need to learn to be afraid of being wrong.
Yeah.
So I love threes and fours for that regard. I think specialize is huge because what's the point of, if I don't specialize, like how responsible am I actually if I don't specialize? How responsible would I be as a boss to the people that I have if I don't specialize in the task in which I'm doing? Or how good of a boss am I if I don't learn how to delegate? If I don't learn how to have others do tasks so I'm not feeling like I need to do everything. And of course my body's going to try to fight it.
Yeah.
But understand, okay, you're going to fight it because it's not natural. It doesn't feel right to you. It doesn't feel natural to you. But sometimes the best things for us are the things that feel the worst.
Yeah, I feel that with the dishes. It's so funny. I was talking to an SI, and they were like, I would love to get a job at a grocery store and just stack boxes. And I was like, you know what? Today I got up and I took one glass out of the dishwasher and put it away. I went, I should go do something else. And I turned away and I went, nope, I should go finish the dishes. And turned back around, and we were both just laughing at each other. We were just like,
amazing.
We were both just laughing at each other because we were just like, oh my God, that's hilarious.
Amazing.
You want to do this and you don't, and I hate this and I love this. And
right.
It's just ridiculous. Yeah. Well, I am pooped. I am pooped, actually. Sorry, Laura, Champagne Kitty. Well, I'll just put her on the screen.
Aw, thank you so much.
Oh, there's been quite a few. Lucas chimed in. Did you ever see the chat during this?
No, I didn't.
You see the chat on the side of the comments? Yeah, he said, "Whoa, deep question." When I asked,
yes,
so real for that answer. Kim the Reaper.
The Kim Reaper. I love that. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
you got a little ENFP in you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And if I'm a 2, that I think cranks up the EP even more.
It would.
Even though I'm masculine OI savior, I'm a social consume.
Yeah, well, it's like people are asking or saying wait, this doesn't make sense. This correlates with this, correlates with this. But it's what? 2 is the most OE.
Yep.
And consume is the OE information animal. Yeah. But then you're like, wait, it's consume is OE and DI. So then it would be, shouldn't if 2 is responsible OE and play DE, shouldn't it be
right?
Shouldn't be play. But it's but it's just some things it kind of makes sense, it kind of doesn't. Because people keep going, oh, I'm not producing, therefore I'm not an entrepreneur. And we're getting a bit stuck on that right now at the moment.
Right.
Because Felix, did you see Felix's video where they came out and they said they were disagreeing with Dave and Shan basically, and they went through the stack and said which is most congruent and which
I don't think I've seen that one yet.
So basically they kind of flipped it where they said I think they said responsibility is more blast and specializes more consume. So ones where I'm probably gonna remember this wrong, but sleep blast, and then 2s would be blast play, and then 3s would be consume sleep or sleep consume. Something like that, and then 4s would be the most skibby, most consumed play. But they use because if it's DE, right, the threes have trouble working with others because they're like
Right.
friends. They can have trouble working with others. So they said Darren Brown, even though he was a 3 and specialized and DE and blast, place, consume, like he still had trouble working with others,
Right.
which conflicted with the DE. So it's like it's all very odd. People have been processing jumpers, but like I've kind of been like reasoning through like, okay, what if it actually is just like you have the first need and that forces the other needs out. So it's like if my number one is competition, flex, hypothetically, be the best,
Right.
wouldn't that create the need of I have to take on responsibility to be the best?
Hmm.
Something like that. Like if I am specialized first and I have to like really focus in here, I cannot therefore prioritize friends. I have to prioritize being the best in this area. Like
Right.
is there some rationale to that? If I am friends first, if my first prefrontal thing just is the natural next thing that fall into that specialized.
Hmm.
Because I cannot be the hard ass busting everyone's balls because I'm here for friendship.
Oh, I absolutely can be the hard ass.
Right? Right? Like, is that what's going on where it's just a natural, it is actually a natural
Hmm.
symmetry to it? Because Dave was talking about the symmetry of the social types. But the thing is the symmetry of the social type versus the sexuals. The
Right.
sexual. You're saying, oh, it's the same. It's like, but it's not the same because the audio and double masculines they just flip each other.
Right.
This is like the ones and twos aren't just flipping each other.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Like in terms of friends versus flex, they're talking past each other.
yeah.
In terms of that, but responsibility, they share that. It's just the responsibilities flip between the two. But in
Well,
terms of where
if it were the same as the sexual modalities, what would happen would be what the ones would be flex and then responsibility, and then the twos would be responsibility then
responsibility and the
flex.
flex, right?
So it's not, yeah, it's like, so there is like, does being flex first force responsibility
Hmm.
over time? Is that why it's nested within?
Right. In the case for two, it's like would responsibility force friends because it's like you
You have to
want to have your hand in everybody's cookie jar. So it's like you got to
yeah,
build friends in order to be like, look how much ownership I have.
yeah. Like, is that what's going on? Yeah.
Right.
Because here's one thing I've been pondering. Um, like I said this with Tim, and people like some people maybe teased me as I said, like there is a problem with the scientific method. And I've been listening to scientists talk about this, which is science made so many gains in the hard fields of science early on, chemistry, physics, that we have a very ingrained, strong trust for science, like because of how voracious it was.
Right.
And then they are two biologists and they're saying, we think biology and medicine have the same veracity as physics did, but they don't because it's multivariable. And OP has now been pushed to the level of being a multivariate measurement of the first multivariate measurement was, are you like double activated on demons?
Right.
Like, are you a glass lizard? So it's like, yeah, your saviors are this, but then there's this activated, so this and this, and then to the layperson, it's like, and now we have social. So now it's three things, which
Right.
is you could confuse people. And I'm like, okay, maybe we're going to reach the level of AI is now going to help be a new tool to help us do multivariate analysis. So maybe it is coming out at the perfect time. Maybe OP is now forming at the perfect time with AI. The AI can go, no, we can actually keep track of multiple variables moving at once and isolate as well.
Right.
Like the human on paper, it's like how many variables can humans hold in their brain if they're smart? 7, and that's just numbers. Like, so,
right.
Like, you could even call it new science, which should scare people.
I'm not an observer. That doesn't scare me.
new cola.
Fighting words.
But
that's why, like,
I think it's necessary.
Oh yeah, that's why, like, something like OP, like, before I got an OP, I never would have typed myself in Never, just because
what
I'm
did
like,
you always type yourself as?
16 delusional INFP. Delusion. I know. That was my delusional era. And then when I got more into it, I think ENTJ for the longest time. But because I was having, because most of the questions like Myers-Briggs or other MBTI questions about organizing was like, I'm an organized person. I organize myself so well. My room is neat. And it's like,
I could see how you could see yourself as a leader.
no. And it was when the introduction of the animals was so revolutionary for me because it could explain why I was savior masculine organizer, but still had struggle organizing because the organization that I struggled with was tied to self, not tied to others. And that just like that blew my mind of like, oh my goodness, I do see myself as an organizer, but it's when I'm organizing others because when it's all right, time to do sleep, that's where the organization just completely falls apart. Of like, what am I doing again? Why am I going? But it's frustrating because I have audio sleep last, so it's like I'll know the sensory, I'll know what I'm doing, but it's like developing routines for me is just a nightmare just because I'm like, all right, like especially like skincare routines is a nightmare just because I'm like, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm like 2 days into it and then it's like there's a new product I have to try, or let's see if this new and then it's just like, okay, I've given up on routine entirely, or like it's like, all right, I have to drop my routine, all right, we're starting tomorrow, like all right, oh there's this new ingredient that I need to just
Don't get me started on the sensor. It's just like
it's such a mess.
It is funny how if you have a savior animal single activated, it's like you only have access to half of it.
Yeah,
You
I've
don't have
described
sweet.
I've described it as like being like a stained glass lizard. You're not entirely made of glass, but you're not an entire lizard either. Like that's what having a single activated savior feels like. It's like, yeah, it's only good when it's like in a cathedral light, when the light's shining in the cathedral. But if there's like nothing it's like, what are you doing? Like if there's no light shining on the stained glass, it's like you feel useless.
It's
Why is
funny
this here?
because I was talking to someone who's like half activated feeling. They were just like, bro, what? They were like, bro, what in the fi fuck are you doing? Like you are like
Yes.
I'm like, aren't you a feeler too? And they're like, not to the level you are. I'm like, no. Let's not resolve this. I want to stay in this and stay in pain.
Right.
It'll be good for me and my book.
Right.
And my they're like, what the fuck? I was like, yeah. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. But yeah. But yeah. I'm blanking for a second. But no, are you frozen? Okay, you're still
No. I was waiting for you. I'm like,
it is in it's like at one point. So you said you were thought you were an INFP. I for 10 years believed I was an ENFP.
how did you get yourself? How does it feel like to get yourself right?
And no. Like I don't get to have my cookie and eat it too because, you know what's funny was I was watching their videos like 2 or 3 years before I actually got into the community. I tried to sign up for the class, didn't watch the videos, and I was like, oh, cancel that.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Right? But like I was like, I literally found a comment on their old video where they're talking about jumpers, and I said, I'm NETE. Like I thought I was like savior or something, like for a bit. But I just remember being in someone's kitchen, like my aunt's kitchen, for some event, and just being like, "This doesn't make sense." Like literally think about NET. I'm like, I can't make heads or tails of this. I can't figure this out. And then when I kind of came back, I went like, "Oh, I must be consume, sleep, blast, or something." Which would make sense if you were like masculine blast. You'd think you might be a blaster,
right? No, that makes sense.
Because you'd be a forceful communicator. Like I was a driver trainer. Like I was a trainer in front of a class. Now, results may vary with a blast last, but my first comment in the Facebook group was, I think I'm a visual, consume, sleep, blast ENFP. And the thing was, I was like, oh my god, I've been so DI. I've never listened to anyone. I need to listen to the tribe now because I fucked off my life by not listening to the tribe and the tribe
Right.
all the time. So it was like one person told me. So two people told me that they thought I was TI,
Hmm.
and it was like I was like, haha, no, I don't think so.
Right.
But then I was like, oh, it's two people and it's one person I paid to talk to privately, and like they must know something. And then this other guy was like, I'm on CRG. I'm a great typer. I'm a great typer. I've been here for a while. You're TI. You're TISE. Like,
Right.
So the day I was like, no, fuck off. And the next day I was like, oh my God, I'm TI. And then I was like, it's probably just any. I'm like, this is all TI.
Right.
So
Right.
by the time I got to getting my type, I was like, I'm TI and I. Of course.
Yes.
Got fucked up by listening to the tribe. So even doing DE will not save the DI.
That's really funny because I got typed actually almost 4 years ago. It would be 4 years ago in August.
Wow.
And it was before like they had Discord servers and Facebook groups. So it's like I didn't know anybody who to talk to about this.
Mhm.
I got my type myself as Tony Robbins. So I was only off by one thing.
Fuck you, Lucas. Fuck you, Lucas. People told me I was TI. People told me I was TI. So I was like, I have to be intuitive. I was like, I'm not an INTP. Like I'm.
As soon as you told the joke, I'm like, yeah, no way, that's not Delta. I'm sorry.
When did you meet me? You probably met me in the.
It was actually I was talking to Jason. It was during a conversation. It was the first or second conversation I ever had with Jason because he was recently typed as audio consume last me.
Yeah.
And you happened to join on a call and you just like got in. I'm like, this guy's voice sounds pretty masculine, but like audio, and it's like something should have tipped in my head. I'm like, okay, this should have been kinesthetic. Like something in my head should have told me, okay, kinesthetic, because I'm like, whoa, this feels forceful.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny?
I think you were actually talking about humor, and a lot of people missing your humor.
Yeah, well, there was one person I was talking to the community who I'd like make a joke and they wouldn't laugh. And I'd be like, "Why are you laughing?" Like, I've had to work on that, just being like way like low key, and also sometimes like your humor doesn't jive with certain people. So it's just what it is. Like, I don't know. I'm sure ENFP, who was a 4, who was like honed into comedy, would be way more funny than me. But like, I mean. Like obviously I've made jokes in my interviews and just had fun now. Like I've gotten into that. But like I just remember making some poop joke as a freshman in high school and just being like and not landing, just going like, fuck humor. This is not cool.
Right.
I am not gonna make a fool of myself, you know? Like that was a key moment in my life.
Did you at least end it with, well, that was a shitty joke?
Shit. See, you're better at it than me, I'll tell you that. That's the other thing. They said like they used to be drawing correlations between info and energy being goofy versus not, and it seems to be more of a flex friends thing. But then there are infodoms who are lead any their community. It's just.
I think it may be the fact that I'm like doubling up on NT.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe TE humor of just like just looking for where the logic could go and then looking for where the idea or the pattern is. Or it's kind of like a
my humor is about being an asshole. My humor is about me being an asshole.
There could have been a shit joke, asshole. There you go. You keep feeding them to me. Want to be on your show? This is what you get.
Back to me.
Not to flex or anything.
My butthole muscles.
How's it feel to be the butt of your own joke?
This is painful. This hurts my face. Stop.
There's my masculine TE. Aggressive dad puns.
Aggressive punching in your face, dad puns. Oh my god. Okay. I think it's almost 10 here. Oh, fuck. It's almost 10. But we have 5 people still on.
I love that.
Oh, Tim, only 2 people survived to the end. 5 people are staying on for you. We started with 0, and then it was like a peak of 9 or 7, and they're still here.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, people. Lucas is crying. Good. I did my job.
Lucas.
I wouldn't be lead to E if I didn't leave at least one person in tears.
Yeah.
I hit my quota for the day.
Making people cry, taking names, taking hearts, breaking people's hearts. Kidding everyone. Checks out.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we need to end the broadcast.
Okay.
It's been very enjoyable for me and you and everyone.
Oh yeah, I've had a blast. I wasn't trying to have a fun there.
I know, I hate it when that happens. No, I love it when that happens, but I hate it. They're like, "Oh, you made a pun." I'm like, I wasn't trying to. No. Stop making jokes.
Stop existing.
Stop existing. Your existence is quite the annoyance to me.
Right? Like, I like the volume you have right now.
Mm.
But make it lower than mute, please.
Oh my god. You're making me groan so much. Stop it. I'm ending the broadcast. I swear to God, I'm ending the broadcast.
Okay.
This is a Midwest goodbye. This is a Midwest goodbye. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. It was so fun. I had a blast. Woo!